Welcome everyone to another episode of WRPL, All Things Consumed, a podcast where we talk about the things we are watching, reading, playing, and listening to. I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And as always, this podcast has no spoiler warnings unless we truly want to keep something from you. So, heads up, if you don't want to know anything, don't listen.
I mean, listen, just...
After you've consumed the thing that you don't want
come
to be
back,
spoiled on.
Revisit us, tell you all about it.
Yeah. How you doing, Steve?
Doing good, Ben. How about you?
I'm excellent.
That's good to hear.
So what have you been consuming this week?
So, I have listened to... let me start off with this. You and I are fans of Jake and Amir.
Yes.
Big fans of College Humor back in the day. I'm not sure if all their sketches necessarily have aged well. I think the comedy landscape has changed a little bit. But anyway, Jake Hurwitz has a podcast called The Goat Show. And it's him and his co-host, whose name I don't recall at this moment. But it's a show where they just try and figure out what's the greatest of all time of something. Like one episode is about socks. Another episode might be about fast food french fries.
Okay.
I've only listened to 2 episodes. One was greatest Game of Thrones episode. Okay. And another one, that I listened to, which I wanted to talk to you about, is greatest party joke. And so they had a bunch of comedians like Ben Schwartz and John Gabris and like 20 other people all send in their go-to party joke, like you're at a party and you just need an icebreaker. This is what they go with. So I just wanted to know if you have a go-to joke or an icebreaker at a party.
I don't know how good of an icebreaker it is, but my go-to joke, because I think it's so funny, and you'll know it probably as soon as I tell it, because you've heard this before. Ben's favorite joke. So a penguin is driving a car down the street, and it's a hot summer day, it's in July, and he notices all this smoke is coming out from underneath the hood. So the penguin pulls over to a mechanic shop. The mechanic says, "Hey, it's going to be a bit, why don't you go take a walk, and we'll see you in an hour." So the penguin's walking down the street, and it's really hot, and he sees an ice cream store, and he goes, "Yeah, that will do it. That will help me beat the heat." So he goes in and gets a big vanilla ice cream cone, and it's like as tall as him, it's huge, and he's walking back to the repair shop, and he's enjoying his ice cream, but it's so hot, it's melting all over his little flipper, and it's all over his beak. Gets back to the mechanic shop, and he says, "So, what seems to be the problem?" And the mechanic says, "Well, it looks like you blew a seal." And he's like, "Oh no, don't worry, it's just ice cream." That's my favorite joke.
Nice. Yeah, on the podcast they basically rated it into categories of just like, one was longevity, like how long can you like do this joke, like is it appropriate for all ages kind of thing, like does it have staying power, is it dated at all. One was just how funny it is, like is it like really gut busting laughing. Now there was a bunch of jokes that kind of just rapid fire, so I really don't remember a lot of them, so I'm going to pitch you 2 that I do remember. Okay. One is bad, it's like an anti-joke. Okay. So it's not really that funny, it's just I guess kind of funny that it's so dumb. Okay. And another one is one from Amir that I thought was actually pretty good. Okay. So the bad one is, why did the monkey fall out of the tree?
I don't know.
Because it died. That's the joke. Yep. Yeah. So the other one is, a guy is having really bad migraines, and so he goes to the doctor, and he goes to the doctor and he's like, "Hey doc, I'm having migraines, my head really hurts, like what should I do?" And doc goes, "Well, you need to stop masturbating." And he's like, "Why?" I was like, "So I can start the exam." I thought that one was pretty good.
I have heard that one, but that's good.
Yeah. You and I are big fans of comedy, and I always hear comedians talk about like, they meet someone and they just tell them they're a comedian, and it's like, "Oh, you are? Tell us a joke." And they're just like, it's the worst fucking scenario to be in. It's like, I never have like a joke at the ready, but I love making jokes. I need the space to like work. I can't just like, I don't have one in the chamber. So I was curious if you had one.
Oh yeah, the penguin joke is my go-to every time. Because it's like dirty enough, but not overtly. There's barely a swear. And it's just like absurd about like a penguin driving a car eating an ice cream cone.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's great. It hits all the things I love about jokes. What was their best Game of Thrones episode?
Best Game of Thrones episode was Hard Home.
Yeah, of course it would be.
Yeah. I mean, they did like a top 3, and but they also do like the worst of something, and the worst episode was the finale.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Jake was going hard after, like, he's just trashing season 8, and, you know, like many people, I don't necessarily blame him.
Yeah.
But I think Hard Home was number 1, number 2 was Battle of the Bastards, and number 3, Baylor, the one where Ned Stark loses his head.
Oh, yeah,
they would just like really set the tone of the show and set up pretty much all the events of the rest of the season. Anyway.
All right, cool.
Yeah. It's good. It was a good listen, but I haven't listened to enough to really recommend it. But
So I found a podcast. I wanted to listen to something new that wasn't just movie reviews. I wanted to listen to something spooky, and it had been in my watch later list forever, probably at least a year. But it is called The White Vault. What YouTube channel is Fool and Scholar Productions. They have a bunch of videos much like this. It's a found footage horror podcast. So everything is like, we took this from a note left, you know, in their workbook. This was a video recording. This was an audio recording. This is what came over their walkie-talkies, you know, and it's kind of compiled together. And it's 5 people who are sent to Svalbard in Norway at a research station, and the thing that was busted, they are sent there to fix it. But when they're about to leave, there's a huge storm, and they get kind of trapped there. And like, well, as soon as the storm passes, we'll be able to get on our snowmobiles and go to the local town that's a couple miles down the road, and we'll be able to get out of here. But the storm just never lets up, and so they get a little bored and they start exploring, and one of them finds a hatch in the floor, and they go in, and it's kind of like man-made tunnels. Then it turns more into natural occurring tunnels, and then they go into like a big antechamber, and it's like a small town built under this iceberg pretty much, and everything has like a blue glow, and there's weird boxes that are like feel hollow but have something rattle around inside, and one of the scientists falls off a cliff and gets hurt, and spooky things start happening. Now their generator's not working, and it's getting cold, and I'm almost done with season 1. Apparently there's 4 seasons. I think 1 and 2 are with the same people, same location, and then 3 and 4 are completely different. They're not too long. They're about 20 to 28 minute episodes. 10 episodes for the first season. It's pretty fun. I'm enjoying it. It's not like the greatest voice acting, especially there's one guy. Everybody sounds like normal people just talking, and it'd just be like, "Hey Fred, can you pass me the cup?" "Yeah, I could pass you that cup." It's like, why is this guy putting on like a sexy Batman voice for everything? And everybody else is just kind of like, "Yeah, I could pass you that cup." And it just sound like normal people, but you could tell it's like I feel like he's some established voice actor, and he's really trying to add some gravitas to this, and it's supposed to just sound like natural people doing their job, and this guy's just a little overacting. But it's called The White Vault. It's on YouTube. I recommend it, and the algorithm threw something my way that I also like to recommend. YouTube channel called Company Man. Have you heard of Company Man?
Mm-mm.
He just kind of like gives you brief histories of famous companies. So like the first one that came up that interested me was it was the history of White Castle. It was just kind of like, okay, yeah, I know a little bit about White Castle and why they're such a strong business, and their model of how to do things was really interesting. And then I watched the Arby's one, the Chick-fil-A one, and then they have...
So it's a history of fast food businesses?
There's others, but those ones interest me more because, you know...
I use them on the road.
Yeah, they're my thing. I don't give a shit about the history of Apple or whatever.
Well, it's interesting that you say White Castle is like a great business. I think I've only seen one White Castle my entire life. Like, where are these White Castles?
It's generally like... north of the Midwest and kind of like Ohio, Indiana area, and then there is some in like New York. A lot like In-N-Out and other California-based chains, they stay close to their supply chain, and if it's only located in one location, you know, you can't. It's hard to truck all the stuff you want across the country. So that's why they never branched out. But then there's episodes where you have Carl's Jr. on the West and Hardee's on the East, and why do they use the same logos and the same mascot and have very similar foods? When did that happen? And that was pretty much one kind of like joining forces and buying out the other one so they can have their appeal on both coasts.
Smart.
But not necessarily change the branding at all, so you can still sell the same shit to them, but just under a different name.
Yeah.
Because they even tried to like open up Carl's Jr.'s in place of Hardee's, and they didn't do well because people were like, "No, we like our Hardee's here. We don't want that Carl's Jr. shit." And it's like it's the exact same thing. It's all the same products, but it's a mental thing. But so Company Man, interesting stuff. I watched like 7 videos in a row because it's just kind of like, yeah, I want to know the history of that.
And how long are they typically?
Like 20 minutes
okay.
or less. Actually, I think they're more like 8-9 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's short and sweet, and I'm sure they're missing a lot of crucial details, but when you just hear the rise and fall of Arby's, where it's like sold to this person and they brought it back, and then they sold it to this person, and then they tanked it, and then they sold it to this person, and then they brought it back, and it's just like some things just have ups and downs, and others are just kind of like Chick-fil-A has a fifth of the restaurants that McDonald's has, but does like 5 times the money or something like that. It's like crazy numbers of like, yeah, McDonald's are everywhere, but Chick-fil-A still beating them with even less locations. So how good are they? What about you? What's been going on this week?
Well, I finished my third book in the First Law trilogy that we've briefly talked about. So just a quick thought on book 3. Book 3 was your big epic finale. And as a fan of the fantasy genre, like I'm always looking forward to the big finale, like big final battle with like the bad guys and the good guys. Who's gonna live? Who's gonna die? Who's gonna come out on top? And I gotta say, this is my least favorite book in the trilogy, which was disappointing. Like there is the first half of the book I was really into, because there was some events that were going down that were like, there was smaller battles before the big final battle. There was a duel to the death between like this unkillable giant warrior and your main character who had to fight to the death. So that battle was really cool. And then it gets to the final battle, and it's against like villains we've never really seen or talked to, like we've just heard about. Okay. Like even the mini battle where your main character had a direct connection to the bad guy, you only ever heard the leader of that army talk, like I think in one chapter, and he immediately died after like Logan was the main character essentially. He won the duel, went up and just killed the leader of the army because he won the duel and it was all over. And I was just like, oh, so like I really didn't get any real connection to that villain or the stakes of that. And then they did the same thing with this big final battle. It's like, oh, here's this army that kind of like comes out of nowhere with this, led by this thing called the 100 Words, and it was basically all like 100 superpowered people who got superpowers by eating people, and then they, within like a chapter, all got killed like instantly because the main wizard of the story just went Super Saiyan and just killed them all in like one blast essentially. So it's just like you have these moments where you finally meet the villains and then you just take them out quickly, which I'm not inherently against, because sometimes that's kind of fun to like, oh, here's this thing, it's going to be like the great battle, and then the battle just kind of ends quickly. But it's just disappointing that I had no real connection to any villains. But all the characters get bittersweet endings, and like the book kind of ends on a, does Logan live or die? You don't know. So there was no closure on a lot of stories, and you find out one character was secretly controlling all this stuff from the shadows this whole time, and it was just kind of like I was hoping for a little bit more. And like I had a lot of fun reading the series, and there's a lot of like cool stuff in it. It's very cinematic. Like I could see it being a trilogy or a 3-season show,
but it needs some rewriting in the end.
I think you need to give the villains screen time, because I had like no real reason to invest in to like beat them other than they're against the main character for whatever reason. And I would have just liked to see the other characters' endings, sort of like see a little bit more how they play it out. But still recommend it. It's a lot of fun read, and if you're a fan of fantasy, I'd say check it out. But book 3 was definitely my least favorite. Book 2, awesome.
So I watched Halloween Kills. I was lucky enough to have a Peacock subscription. man, off the record, it's not mine, and I'm just borrowing it from my buddy at work. And it's
Yeah.
like he gives me everything. He says, "Oh, you want that? I got that. Oh, you want that? Yeah, I got that."
There's always a guy who's got a guy, and you're the guy that I know who has a guy.
but that's like,
but I don't have anything.
And yeah, anyway,
I don't care enough about Halloween Kills.
no,
so.
yeah, and you really shouldn't, because it's not great, but it's not bad. It's not a piece of shit. It's not embarrassing or anything like that. It's just not great. Mm-hmm. And I think it really depends on this third one. If the third one knocks it out of the park, I think it will kind of redeem this one. But if they don't stick the landing, it's going to make this one look even worse.
So would you say this one doesn't really stand on its own? It's kind of like, we're doing this to set up something good in the third one?
No. No, this actually could stand on its own, because they do a good job of flashing back into older movies and like reshooting scenes that were exactly the same as before, taking characters where the actors are dead and like putting a CG model in, but not looking like Princess Leia in Rogue One or anything. They do a really good job of letting you know who all these characters are, because this is a Halloween fan wet dream almost. It's got tons of characters from previous movies coming back, and they're all older now, and some of them are in kind of the same positions as they were before. Like one guy whose daughter died, he's still a cop, and now he's just like security at the hospital. And so you get a lot of references to old characters and old movies. Like the kids have the 3 Halloween masks, the pumpkin, the skull, and the witch head, and those were the masks in Halloween 3. There's just like lots of callbacks for everybody. So if you're big into this series and you know all the characters' name and minute details, you're probably going to go like, I get that. Oh, this is for me. Whereas like, I don't know all that.
Yeah, that just makes me think, like, I love seeing references to stuff. That like nostalgia is always fun, but at the same time, there's sometimes when you're just watching a movie and it's like, do you need all like you're just feeding me this stuff because I'll go like, oh, that's fun, but like it doesn't add anything. It's Absolutely. Like I would much rather not have references to stuff if it gives me a better film. But at the same time, like I just admit that I enjoy that stuff, so it's a hard balance.
Yeah, I think they do a good job of working it in that doesn't make it feel like this is just here for fan service. It's like, hey, look at this person. She was a nurse in that second one. You remember her? Okay, we're going to kill her off anyway. So it's not like we have any like reverence for the character or anything. Right. It's just like, no, we wanted to bring her back, and now we're going to kill her off. I've always been more of a Jason fan. I don't like Michael Myers. I think he's stupid. He's got a dumb look. And I
think they're all kind of stupid.
Well,
so.
Yes, but when it comes to slasher films, I know this was one of the first, and it set the tone, and it wasn't a big body count, crazy kill sort of movie. He only kills like 3 or 4 people in the first one, and it's more about the ambiance and the fear of this unrelenting person. I grew up with Jason, who is also an imposing presence, but much cooler looking, and like Michael Myers will just walk after you. He always seems to be able to catch up, but he just walks. Like Jason will run. He'll book it towards you, and he is scary because he'll use anything to kill you with, where Michael Myers was mainly, he's got a knife.
A knife, yeah.
But I think they realized it's not enough. You can't just kill people with one knife anymore, unless it's like that's part of the gimmick of like, say, Scream. So Michael Myers is just like, killing people with light bulbs and pitchforks and anything that he could get his hands on. And it feels a lot more like Friday the 13th in how creative he's getting with some of his kills. And some of them are just stabbings, for sure. Michael Myers never seemed like, I'm going to kill anybody and everybody no matter what. It's like, you get in my path, yeah, I'll kill you. But he's like going into these people's houses, and it's just like, dude, if you're trying to get home, why are you cutting through someone's actual house? Just walk on the street. If a cop hassles you, you kill that person. But it's like he's seeking out people to kill him that have no connection to him.
Right.
So he kills a lot of people in this movie. I think it's like 28 bodies or whatever. And they're very bloody. I think it's the bloodiest of all the Halloweens. And all those deaths are really fun. There's this one death that just made me laugh. So
Were you the only person in the theater? Oh, well, you
I
saw it on
watched it at
Peacock.
home,
Yeah.
but I did laugh out loud.
I feel like a lot of times I've gone to horror movies with you, and you and I are cracking up while everyone else is like stone cold silent.
Yep. So he's like killing people in a car, and this woman's shooting a gun at him. And she gets close enough, and he's in the front seat of the car, and the door's open. She shoots, it blows out the window. She gets closer, and he kicks the door, and it hits the gun, and she swings it around and blows her brains out. It's so fast and shocking that it made me laugh very hard. There's a couple of deaths that are kind of like, ooh, that's gross. Like a guy gets stabbed in the eye, but like up into his brain, and he's still, like alive and twitching. Right. Really, really gross stuff. But one of the things I really liked about the idea of this movie was getting the town riled up. Like, we are tired of this
I remember seeing that in the trailer and going like, good. This is what you need to do from the get-go.
It's like a lot of movies, people don't believe in the big scary monster or whatever, and no one believes the kids. This town, everybody knows what's going on. So I love that they all just grab their bats and their guns, like, we're going to hunt him down, and we're going to beat the ever-loving shit out of him. There is a section that I absolutely hate where there's like a mental patient that I think was in the last one that broke out with him, and he just shows up at the hospital that Laurie's at, and everybody's getting all riled up and like, evil dies tonight, and that's their chant, and they see this guy and he looks like a crazy person, so they all start thinking it's Michael Myers, and they're just like running through the hospital and stepping over each other and screaming, and Judy Greer's like trying to save him because like this isn't the guy, and he jumps out a window and kills himself. And it's just like this whole section of, who is this guy? You don't even really explain. They show him once on like a news report, but they don't ever say anything. So for a good portion of the movie, I'm just like, who the fuck is this? And why do I care? And then he dies, and I guess it shows how people can like go mad.
Right.
In these
when
situations.
They're angry, they're just looking for someone to blame.
Yeah, crazy mob. And the mob is hilarious because you have like regular people, but since it's Halloween, you have like a woman in like kitty cat makeup and like a mime, and they're all like, evil dies tonight, but they stand out. Just a Hello Kitty holding a knife. So yeah, and it's like, I'm not sure what they want to do, because this whole time it seems like they're like, he's a man, he's just a man, he's so evil, but by the end of this it's like, nah, he's not a man. He's something more, and every time he kills, it just feeds his power. And they like shoot him in the chest 5 times and beat the crap out of him. Pitchfork in the back. He gets like curb stomped against a stair, and they like really. And like Michael Myers would be like 70 years old by now. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, if he was younger or like around Laurie's age in the first one.
Yeah. He's an elderly man, and so they all beat the shit out of him, and it's like, we finally got him. And he just gets back up, and he kills all the people. Like, the mob that's going to get him, he, like, takes them all out.
Jesus.
I mean, it's not like 100 people or anything like that. And then, like, Judy Greer's back in the house looking out the window he used to look out, and he shows up and kills her. And it's like, what the fuck?
He kills Judy Greer?
Judy Greer, yeah.
Oh, man, I love Judy Greer.
Yeah, she shouldn't have died, because they did kind of a little callback thing, when she's like, I can't shoot him, I can't do it. And he pops up and you're like, gotcha, blam.
Yeah. That was a cool moment.
Yeah,
I didn't see
she's the one that stabs him in the back with the pitchfork, and then he's on the stairs and she stomps on his face. And then it's like, keep stabbing him with the fucking pitchfork. Like, everybody in these movies are so obnoxious that they stab someone and then just put it down. It drives me nuts. So, like, she takes off his mask, and you do kind of see a little bit of his face. He just looks like a balding dude who's old, but not a clear shot.
Right.
And she's like, you want to kill someone? Oh, I'm a helpless woman, come get me. And she runs, and then he follows her, and then they're on the street, and everybody turns their headlights on. She's like, gotcha. And it's the mob, and they all start beating him up.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like, so they don't know, okay, are they doing the thing that there's a curse with Michael Myers and he's part of some cult?
Yeah, because I thought that was like the main reason that the first Halloween was so scary, was because a crazy guy could just break out of an asylum and just randomly kill you or whatever. Yep. It just, and that's a reason why like movies like The Strangers and stuff is so scary. It's like, this could just happen to anybody. But then once you add an element of, he's a super being, and it's like, okay, well then like, what's the fucking point?
And I think that they're trying to pay homage to all the previous movies. It's like, well, we hinted on stuff from part 3, even though Michael Myers isn't in that movie. Well, how much more can we get away? And I don't know if we'll see witches around a pentagram or an altar or anything, or a book that has the curse of Michael Myers or whatever, but I do think they're going to lean into something supernatural. I read this tweet about how Jamie Lee Curtis said part 3 is going to really piss people off. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we don't know in what way. Is it going to be a bummer of an ending? Are they going to do something weird, like he gets his head cut off and then like, oh, he's finally dead, and then he stands up, picks his head up and puts it back on, and like, oh no, there's no stopping him? Are they going to go to that extreme? Or is it just her with a grenade and she hugs him and they blow up or something stupid cool. like that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I bet in the third one she dies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because I imagine that's her going like, I'm gonna be the one, since I'm the original, I'm gonna be the one to kill Mike Myers. Thank you. I'm gonna be the one to kill Mike Myers, and then I'll die too, so everyone can go, I'm not coming back. I'm old. Yeah, this
even
is
though she's died in the other series.
Oh, already. She did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's like in a mental institution, and he comes for her, and they both fall off a building at the same time, and she dies, but he survives.
And they just retcon
and then it's
that,
just like that's done. I think it's the Busta Rhymes movie.
Okay.
So then it's like he goes back home, but they're filming a reality show in the Myers house, and it's supposed to be spooky, and he's got like fake scares to scare these people, but Michael Myers is back, and then Busta Rhymes beats him up with kung fu. It's bad. It's considered the worst one. It's really stupid, and the mask looks bad.
That makes me sad.
That one thing I will say about this, he is a lot more intimidating. You look back to some of those older movies, and it's like a short dude with a floppy mask, and it's just like, you're not scary at all. Mm-hmm. Now, in like the Rob Zombie ones, they made him huge, and I think he doesn't need to be that big. I mean, the guy who played Sabretooth in X-Men played Michael Myers, so big dude, big wrestling dude. But this is a good balance of, he's still big enough to be imposing, and the mask has enough like grit.
But he isn't a freak. He isn't the Mountain.
Yes, he's not. I thought you meant a freak like he's touching them in naughty places.
No, a freak of height. Freak
of height, yeah.
Yeah.
So Halloween Kills, you can skip it. If you got Peacock, you might as well because it's free. But I'm gonna say pass.
Good to know. I wasn't going to see it anyway.
But the listeners might have.
Well, I mean, I like to hear about the terrible movies that you watch, but I'm glad.
I got another one.
Oh, I know you. I have no doubt. Well, I played a game called Mad Max. I beat it today, and for the most part, I enjoyed it. I got to say, I wasn't really invested in the story. If you ask me to describe the story, I just go, I think, like, the bad guy destroys his car, so he wants vengeance, so he like gets another car until he can kill him for destroying his first car. I think that's the plot. There's some other stuff where he like tries to help people here. It doesn't matter, because it's all a bunch of dudes with weird names just road raging and fighting and stuff. But it was a lot of fun. I like the combat, and honestly, the driving combat I had a good time with. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be in the beginning, and the problem is that there's just too many car upgrades. So it's not like they were particularly hard to get. It was just there were some parts there was like 10 upgrades for it, and other parts there was like 3. And it was just, I'm one of those people who's like, I want to get like the best version of stuff, so like I'm trying to do all the sides quest to upgrade it so my stuff later can be easier, and that's all well and good, but it got repetitive really fast. So that's the biggest problem with the game. It's just that it's a little bit repetitive. You're fighting the same enemies essentially, the combat's the same, and like you really don't get good weapons until like midway through. I'm a story guy, and the story just wasn't all that interesting. I'm glad I didn't buy it full price when it came out, but you know, it was nice to play a game that was sort of in the realm of movie-ness, and Mad Max Fury Road is probably one of the greatest movies ever made. And so I just kind of wanted to, I saw that movie, I was like, man, I would love to be in that world of some kind. And so this gave me, that sort of scratched that itch. But there wasn't, I just wish there was those swingy guys.
Oh, damn.
Like there was only like one war rig that you fought at the very end. It was like the final boss.
I think that'd be a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean, there was like convoys that you battle, but there wasn't any like big giant truck until like the final battle.
Damn.
And by that time, my car was so souped up, it was like really easy to like beat this guy. And then the game ends and you unlock, and you can still play, like do all the side missions and stuff after you beat it. But then you get Mel Gibson's classic Road Warrior costume. I was like, I should have had that for the final battle. Like that should have been like the cool thing you unlock. I was just like, oh well, I get to wear this neat little thing to do like defuse these mines in the sand. It's like, who cares? So 7 out of 10.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah, like I had fun playing it. It took me longer to play than I thought I was going to, but I didn't do that much fast traveling. Like I enjoyed driving around everything, but there was just a little bit too much to do, and all the stuff that you could do sometimes just like real boring because it's just 400 locations of just, all right, you can collect loot here, you can collect loot here. Oh, here's 2 guys to punch in the face. But yeah, so it was a good time, but I don't think I'll ever play it again.
Okay. Well, I watched a pretty good movie. It's available on Netflix. It's called Till Death. And I think you would like this movie because it is pretty much a home invasion movie. Do you know what
is this the Megan Fox?
The Megan Fox movie.
I've heard of it. I don't think I've seen a trailer or anything, so I really don't know that much about it.
In order to kind of tell you the story, you have to reveal a big thing, and it doesn't happen till like a half hour into the movie, and it's only a 90-minute movie. It's kind of like the big turn at the end of Act 1, but without it, it's not as interesting to recommend. So I'm just going to tell you it. She's cheating on her husband with a guy and wants to end it. It's her anniversary with this dude who was her lawyer. She was attacked when she was...
I'm sorry, wants to end it with the guy she's cheating on, or
Yes.
wants to end it with the guy she's married to?
That she's cheating.
Got it.
But she's not really happy in her marriage. It's just kind of like, he is my husband, and I have a decision to make. Maybe she would go back to this guy. Maybe she'd try to work with her husband. You know, that's probably what's on her mind, but that's not where the story is going. It's their anniversary. Like I said, he was... her lawyer. She was attacked, got stabbed in the back by a dude. She was an amateur photographer. She stabbed him in the eye, put him away for however long, and then they fell in love and got married. It's now a loveless marriage. He's now a bigger hotshot lawyer who kind of like helps more criminals than he does the innocent. And it's like, hey, well, I got to make that money. You know, you want nice things. You're just a stupid amateur photographer and nobody likes your shit. So I got to take care of you. So he's really cold and gives her a weird metal necklace for their anniversary because it's, I guess 5 years is like steel or something like that.
Something like that.
And then he blindfolds her and says, like, I'm going to take you to someplace special. It ends up being their lake house cabin, and it's wintertime, so the lake is all frozen. And they kind of have a nice night, but she's, like, just on edge the whole time. Like, she feels like he's going to find out about the affair and spring it on her at any second, or he's going to hurt her. He has a very scary presence. So then they have their night.
I'm sorry. Do I know the actor who's the husband?
I don't.
It just sounds like such a Jason Clarke role.
yeah, I could totally see that, but
I feel like I've seen him be like the psycho husband in like 5 different movies.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
So she wakes up and she's handcuffed to her husband, and he's just kind of like, "You're a bitch, and now deal with it," and blows his brains out. So now she's handcuffed to a corpse, and I'll leave it there.
Okay.
Well, no, actually, I got to get to the home invasion thing. And then two guys show up being like, "Oh, we're just the plumbers or whatever." But it's the guy she put in jail and stabbed in the eye. He's coming to exact revenge. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to tell you the rest of it real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not going to watch it because it's...
So, like, yeah, I mean, she's trying to get around the house, dragging the body, and it's like, he's taking all the knives, all the tools, anything out of the house. There's nothing. So she's dragging it down into the basement, realize there's nothing there, and has to drag him all the way back up. And her wrist is getting all fucked up, and dragging him out to the shed to get into the car, and he siphoned all the gas out of it. And he's leaving little, like a CD in there going like, "Oh, I wish I could see your face. Oh, you fucking bitch." It's like, deal with my rotting corpse. And like she has a dark room in the house, because she's a photographer, and it turns out husband did know everything, obviously because he killed himself, but he has pictures of them together. And then the person she was cheating on her husband with shows up, and it's like, where's your husband? He caused a huge mess. I guess he fucked the whole company and like embezzled a bunch of money and did a bunch of shady things, so like the firm is going under. And she shows him the body and like, look, we gotta call the cops. And of course he like leaves his phone in his car, goes out to get it, and here comes these two guys, and they immediately kill him. She's able to hide because she realizes who it is, and so now it's like this cat and mouse thing of the guy she put in jail and his younger brother, who's more like, oh, you didn't say you were gonna kill him. Oh, we were gonna just tie him up. So they do a lot of sneaking around. She's able to get some gas, and can she put it in the car before he notices? And he's gonna pop the tires, and she's gotta hide behind this barrel, and they do a pretty...
At this point, she's still
connected to
Jesus.
this day. But they do a really good job of making it believable.
Okay.
I would say, like, there is a part where she does get it off, and she's doing the gas thing, and he's like looking under the car, and she's just like hiding behind a tire, and it's like, okay, you'd see a shadow or something. And then he gets up and he goes to go around the edge, and she's able to get down and go under before he turns the corner. And it's like, this is a very quiet garage. No matter how quiet you are, you're gonna hear people, just the movement of people,
your clothes scraping against the
it's just those minor things.
Yeah,
but,
that's movie stuff.
It's there for tension. She eventually gets it off, but then he like handcuffs her back to it later on.
That's funny.
He's like, look, we just want what's in the safe. Your husband promised us like $500,000 in diamonds, and they're in the safe. And she's like, well, I'm not going to tell you because you're going to just kill me afterwards or whatever. They eventually like come to an agreement about like, you uncuff me and I'll tell you the code. They agree with that. And then the only thing in the safe is a saw that says the $20 million are around her neck. He put them all in the steel necklace that she can't get off. It's like locked in place. So it's like, oh, sorry, gonna have to cut your head off to get it. So they have a big punch him up and everything. She, the younger brother gets his head like slammed against a coat hook. So he dies. And she pretty much like lures him out onto the ice. She gets the body handcuffed to him. The ice breaks, and he can't swim because the body drags him down to the bottom of the lake. She gets away. So
some weird Weekend at Bernie's kind of.
Yeah, without any of the comedy. But it's a really well-written, tight 90 movie. It's
funny that we watched Hush so recently and then this, because it seems very similar.
Very similar.
It's like, here's a home invasion sort of movie, but there's a handicap.
There's a handicap in some way. So it's good. I think even Megan Fox is pretty good in it. I mean, as good as she can be. She's not embarrassing or anything, but I thought this was a good role for her. And it's on Netflix, so if you got Netflix, check it out. Till Death.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, you and I have played a game together recently. Yeah. And that game is Man of Medan, part of the Dark Anthology series, made by the same gaming company that made Until Dawn, which was a pretty good.
Pretty good. It bit off more than it could chew, I think. It tried to do too many horror things. It's like, if we're only going to do one of these, it's going to be torture porn, it's going to be monster in the woods, it's going to be psycho killer, it's going to be any supernatural thing. It's going to be everything all in one, and it gets a little messy.
Did you ever play before Until Dawn? Have you ever played like a sort of choose your own adventure game?
I played Heavy Rain. I played Detroit Become Human.
Oh, that's right.
But no other horror one besides Until Dawn.
Yeah, Until Dawn I think was my first game, and then I played Heavy Rain and Detroit and all that stuff afterwards. But I remember, and I'm not a big horror guy, but Until Dawn I thought was well done, considering it's all story and it's not an action game at all, but it's still like engaging, and I liked having the quick time events. And like, I remember there's a point where the serial killer is chasing you, and like there was a bat leaning up against the wall, and like I just missed it. I was like, oh man, like that bat could have, I didn't end up dying at that moment, but I thought like, oh, what would have happened if I grabbed that bat and hit him over the head.
My favorite part of that was when you have the saw blade and you have to kill one or the other.
Yeah.
I guess I killed my girlfriend, or I killed the girl, but of course she doesn't die. It's just kind of like, well, I don't know how it happened for you, but I killed her and it was fake. And she's like, I can't. Yeah, you don't actually get cut in half, and you're like, I can't believe you would have chose me And so it's like a little bit of the psychological horror that the killer is doing to you. And so I'm running away from a monster and I'm getting all the quick time and stuff. And she closes the fucking door on me and locks me out. And that guy died. And it's just like, oh, God damn you. I mean, I deserve it. I killed you. So why wouldn't you? But I didn't see it coming in it.
Yeah, mine was even worse. Well, for the Saw thing, I didn't know what to do. And I panicked. I didn't know what was going to happen. And the game just chose for me, which was I killed Rami Malek's character. Like all my characters made it to the end except for when I think it's the boyfriend, the blonde haired dude with glasses, right? Yeah, he's running back and the Wendigo, yeah, the Wendigo was chasing it, and it was a quick time event, and I just missed the last one, and it cut off my head. And I was like, I was so close to beating the game with no deaths, and this motherfucker like tripped over a twig or something and then died. I was furious.
I think I had like 3 people dead in my party.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. And there was one thing I wanted to do that I read in it. The slutty girl character, I guess if you play her really flirtatious and the guy she's with as like super heroic, she finds him more attractive, so she takes off more clothes as it goes on. And so you can have a scene where she's running through the woods in her bra and stuff. That's very horror movie-like. You know, it's very titillating. But if you play him kind of like a fool, she doesn't think he's very cool and keeps all of her clothes on. And I didn't realize that. But it's just a fun little thing that they add into there.
I think the one guy had a girlfriend who was just like a total dick the entire game. And there was a point where I think she's like holding on to something, and I was like, should I just let her go? Because I just really didn't want to hear her talk anymore. But I did try and save her, and she still ended up falling, but not to her death. It's just she rolled into the, camp or whatever, or the bottom of the ravine or whatever it was. Anyway,
we're not here for Until Dawn. Even though play Until Dawn, it's fun.
It's a lot of fun. But yeah, Man and Madame, what did you think, Ben? Well, I guess we should set up what the game is.
Sure. You have a group of 4 friends. 2 that are dating, the guy's brother and the girl's brother. And they are deep sea diving, not archaeologists, what are they? They're like treasure hunters, kinda.
It's
history buffs.
Like the one kid did some research and I think told his brother, and they're like, all right, well, let's go scuba diving and see if we can find sort of treasure essentially on this thing. They're not professional divers or professional treasure hunters. It's just
a way that they could have like broke into the industry. Look at this big find that we did. Even if there's no Nazi gold, it's still a World War II plane.
Yeah, it would have been their discovery. So
they hire a boat captain, no nonsense lady named Fliss. I was gonna say Floss, and then pirates come and take them captive. Well, they find the hidden plane, but then they get taken captive, and the storm is coming, and they come across a ghost ship of sorts, and get on, and spooky things start happening.
And that's the game.
And then they leave happily ever after.
So, did you find this game scary?
There was a couple of moments that got both of us of just like a ghost nurse, which I still don't believe is meant to be part of the game. That's a glitch, because no ghost nurse showed up. Oh wait, was it the stripper? Was it the scary monster stripper?
Yeah.
Wasn't she a stripper dressed as a nurse, or was she just a nurse? She had to have been just a nurse, right? Why would
I don't know why you kept saying stripper. I mean, it might have been like a heightened version of a nurse. It might have been like to make it more spooky, just like look at this big-breasted nurse type or whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that because that nurse came back. Yeah.
Okay, I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, there were some legit scares of looking through a vent and you look to the right and just fucking face right there looking back.
And it's sad because we both jumped, and then it's like we knew it was coming, and it still got us.
Yeah, I knew it was coming, but I thought it would be nothing and something would pop.
Yeah.
But it was just in the shadow. You turn your flashlight and it's already there, and it really got me.
Really effective. Yeah. I think the game does a pretty solid job in terms of scares, and I think in terms of camera angles, it's very visually appealing movie for visually appealing game, shot like a movie, for something that is essentially all gray and
rust and
greenish, I guess. It does all the classic horror tropes, but I think in a way that's done really well and engaging, and there's lots of little pieces you can find, and you're trying to figure out like what happened to this crew, because you get like an opening scene of World War II when the ship was fully functional and people. And this was a part that I didn't necessarily love, because I think all the people's scared to death face looked kind of silly. Yeah. But finding out what was the cause was nice. It might not necessarily be as haunted as one would expect, but at the same time, I kind of guessed that, because there just seemed to have been this mist thing that comes over the whole time. But unfortunately, our entire crew didn't make it out.
No. Right at the end, too.
Yeah. It seems to be a classic problem of us, is just at least one character will not make it to the end.
But it was a bad prompt, because it's like, do you tell the guy, hey man, cool off, don't do this, or hey man, knock it off? It was like two of the same things, just little different wording. Like one's a little more aggressive than the other, and it was just like
the other option is to not say anything.
That's true.
It always seems in those. It's hard to not say anything, even though it might be the best course of action. It's just why wouldn't I choose something that I have a better concept of, like what they would say? And then
he just shot Fliss in the head.
Yeah, poor Fliss.
And the rest of our characters didn't even mention it.
Yeah, and that's like I think my major complaint with the game is I wanted everyone to make it out. I'm not somebody who plays the game just to like kill everybody off because I want to see the gruesome deaths. Like I get why that could be appealing, but we were so close to getting everybody off, but then they get off and they don't mention her. They don't like have a scene where they're like upset. The guy who was with her as she got shot didn't seem to react all that much. It was just like the game ran out of time to film these scenes, or like you had to hit a specific beat to really get that scene that you're missing maybe. But it was just, nope, they just get on the boat and sail away, and it just kind of ends for them. And we get what I liked is there is like post-credit scenes where they sort of cleaned up decisions you made previously in the game for other characters. But
which I wondered, like, could we have all three pirates survive? Is that an option? You know, or are we really supposed to try to like take him out? Because like we could have drowned the one dude who ended up shooting Fliss. What if we would have just drowned him? You know, would we have gotten out of that situation, or would someone else get us? Or could have we helped out the Asian dude more, and maybe he wouldn't have gotten hurt, and maybe he would have survived? You know,
I mean, technically he did.
Yeah. I mean, he killed those guys. More guys are coming.
I mean, I had a lot of fun with the game. I feel like it was acted well, and I think that the game did a good job of like capturing the faces for the most part. But I think some of the dialogue wasn't that great, and because the dialogue wasn't great, I think the performances lacked a little bit. And I think that just might be a product of we have to film 50 different versions of all this stuff, so some stuff isn't going to hit or like make much sense.
Or you have a very passive conversation the whole time, and then the next decision you make is a little more aggressive, and then the character responds in like such heightened voices or whatever. Yeah. And then your next decision is more calm again, and then it's like, oh, okay, that was a huge jump, and it just feels weird when you kind of course correct. But that's kind of the nature of choose your own adventure stuff.
Yeah. So if you try, because you and I are such big movie guys, I think we kind of know how a story, whether consciously or subconsciously, like how we imagine it would play out. So making the right choice isn't particularly hard. I think we can kind of, based on the tension of the scene, go like, okay, I think this character would respond in this way, and that will lead us to the right choice. And that guided us for the most part all the way through, except up until Fliss got shot in the face. But I blame you for that, because you made the majority of the choices in this game.
Sorry.
I just did the QuickTime events. But anyway...
Cool. Well, I blame you for missing some of those QuickTime events.
Hey, those QuickTime events never got anyone killed. So...
That we know of.
Yeah.
I wonder, okay, at the very beginning when you're the soldiers and you're in, like, Japan doing the, like, little games at the beginning, I wonder if any of those really mattered. Or if that was just tutorial for this is how the game is played.
I think that was just tutorial.
Probably.
But I think there's only very few times that I think what you do actually matters. And then you get that little prompt at the bottom left-hand corner.
Prompt came up quite often.
Yeah, I mean, I would say less than 20, though.
Sure.
But if you told me it was 10 times, I'd be like, okay, yeah, 10 times makes sense, too. Which you make 1,000 decisions in this game, but you only get
Sure.
20 important prompts.
Yeah. Because some of them, it's like, how do you want the story to sound?
Yeah. It's a lot of cosmetic choices versus actual important choices.
Yeah. When it comes to cosmetics, my two gripes would be, I mean, the faces look pretty good, but some of the mouth movements over teeth, it just feels like everybody's got kind of like a bigger gap between their lips and their teeth. Like it's like an empty void.
Right.
So it kind of is a little floaty in there. And some of the loading graphics were kind of bad. Like it would cut to the next scene and things would blink in.
Right.
Yeah, just not super polished, but I would definitely go back and do it a second time.
Yeah, I think what's great about these games is they do lend themselves to replay value. It's just a lot of times the opening bits are so, like that opening scene where they're on their ship before like the pirates even show up. It's like, I don't want to play, like that took 45 minutes to just do that part. It's like, I don't need to
and how much
do
of
all
that is important. Like we hit the little like radar thing and we turned it off, I think. Would we have been able to spot the pirates earlier if we never touched that thing? When we went down to the ship, it was like, do you want to take the pokey stick or the box or whatever? And we picked one, but we ended up taking both anyways. It's like, how much of this really matters? Yeah.
And we had that when you can look into paintings and get like a little glimpse of, okay, so we knew the guy's little brother was like hiding in one of the rooms and the pirates, I guess, never looked through the one door. They at one point they're just like, all right, come on out.
Yeah.
Like, the guy's brother says, come on out. Like, you could have like had him keep hiding while you guys go up in the ship, and he could have been like the savior later in the story. But it's just like, well, we need to get all of them on the boat at the same time, so just come on out. Like that just felt weird.
Right prompts to do the thing where he gets found out because of your quick time event. It was just kind of like, no, moving past it. Come on out.
Yeah. So, and I don't. In terms of like the blinking, I imagine all that is just like, okay, the game is just catching up to whatever choice you made to get to this scene. But like playing stuff like Detroit Become Human and all that, I don't remember any of that. No. Like that game is so smooth.
And has a lot more branching paths.
Yeah. Play Detroit Become Human. It's the best game of all these.
Of all these types.
Yeah. But Man of Medan, still pretty good time. And it took us, like 6 hours to beat the whole thing? Yeah. It's not super long. No. But it's good that it's not super long, so you're not investing 20 hours per choice.
Yeah, this was a 10-hour game each time. I would only do it the one time.
Yeah. Detroit Become Human is a long game, but God, is it beautiful.
Yeah.
So, enough about Detroit Become Human.
I watched a movie on HBO just because sometimes you're scrolling through the menu and it's like, oh yeah, that movie. I'm going to record that and watch it at my leisure. Or I don't know what this movie is. Like sometimes you just stumble on weird things.
Wait, you say leisure, not leisure?
I think I say leisure, yeah. You say leisure?
Yeah.
And I say leisure. Okay.
Oh, weird. I've never heard someone say at my leisure before.
Okay. Maybe it's wrong. I don't know. I think I've always said
You just constantly correct me, so I'm not even saying this is a correction. I just never heard it before. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Anywho, the movie that was on HBO that I watched was The Cell 2. And if you know The Cell, it's Jennifer Love Hewitt, Jesus Christ.
I was going to say, isn't it Jennifer Lopez?
It's Jennifer Lopez, Vince Vaughn, and Vincent D'Onofrio. And Vincent D'Onofrio is a psycho killer. He grabs women, puts them in a tank, and then they're like, it's slowly filling up with water. And if you don't get them within 72 hours, they'll drown. And he's done this over and over and over again.
Has any woman gotten out before?
No, I don't believe so. And then, so Vince Vaughn is the detective, and he recruits Jennifer Lopez because she's like a psychic therapist or something. She has a little machine that like you lay down with the person and you can go inside their mind and look at their she uses it for like patients for therapy and looks at their past trauma and helps them through things, and it's all really psychedelic, and it's like it's just the visuals are very out there and really is good at like what is inside the human mind. What does that look like? And it could be weird stone structures or a field with faces that are coming out of it, or a horse that gets cut into like 25 dissected pieces and separated with glass. Like there's just lots of crazy visuals in it.
I remember going to Blockbuster in my youth, and The Cell was always one of those movies that, because I think her face is so pale on the cover, it always just stuck out, and I always looked at it and looked at the back and just saw all that weird imagery and go, I don't know what the fuck this is. And I just never bothered.
I think you'd be into it. It's an interesting watch. Well, anywho, Vincent D'Onofrio, he's this bad guy, and then he has like a stroke, and they're like, crap, he has someone captured. He's not going to wake up from this. We need to do something. So it's not a hunting down the bad guy to free the girl. It's like going into his brain and hunting down the information to free the girl. Because like the bad guy is lost already, kind of. I mean, he may get one final kill in, but he's already gonna be dead. So she goes into his brain and kind of kooky stuff happens. So here's The Cell 2, and I was just like, okay, I know it's gonna be a cheap version. But how bad can it be? And let me tell you, it is really bad. Bad. I give this movie an F+. I give F pluses to all the like good bad flicks. It's so much fun to watch because the actors are atrocious.
Does anyone from the original even make a cameo?
At the very beginning, you see Jennifer Lopez like falling through the sky in a crazy red dress going into the mind of Vincent D'Onofrio. It's just they use shots of that, and then that's it. Bad acting. You know who the killer is, like from the get-go. If you've watched enough of these types of movies, you know who the killer is when this character pops on screen. It's someone like within the main cast.
Sure.
That's been, I was the killer the whole time. But this killer, God. Oh, what do they call him? He has the dumbest fucking name. Oh, he's called the Cusp because he brings you to the cusp of death and then brings you back. So that's his thing is, he'll put a bag over your head and suffocate you and then let you die. And then he does CPR on you to bring you back. And our lead, she was one of his victims. And
so he's a serial killer who doesn't kill anybody?
Well, he does. Like, he'll keep killing you until your body can't take it and he can't bring you back.
Oh, okay.
So it's like he suffocates you once, and then next time he injects you with something that like it fucks with your nerves. He'll shock you with paddles until you die. He'll just do whatever it takes, and then it's like, hey, if you keep coming back, well, cool, we get to just do it all over again. And he'll leave.
That's kind of fun.
It's a good premise for a bad guy, and he'll play them messages of like all of his previous victims going like, please don't do this and stuff. So it's a lot like Toolbox Murders. If you don't know anything about the Toolbox Murders, don't Google it, don't listen to it. It's such fucked up stuff that they actually use it to desensitize people in the FBI because of how fucked up this guy was. Bad stuff. Anywho, back to this. So our hero, she was one of his victims and she lasted the longest. She came back 6 times. But her pulse rate dropped so low that he couldn't detect it and thought she was dead, and so he dumped her in an alley. Some people found her, and she went to the hospital. I don't know why he just dumped her in the alley. I guess it's kind of like he wants people to find the victims or whatever, but you would think he would, cut their throat just to be safe or whatever. But anywho, because of her dying and coming back so many times, it messed with her brain chemistry, and now she's a psychic. And now if she touches an object of someone, she can see where they're at. And so she's using it to try to find the victims, but she can't see where they are, and she can't ever see his face. Well, it turns out that it was this one of the deputies of the local police. He's the only recognizable actor. Don't ask me what he's in because I couldn't name anything, but if you saw him, you go, oh yeah, that guy.
Okay.
And because of the connection he made with her, because now she could go into his mind with this little device that helps keep her safe. And they do that thing if you die in his mind, you die in real life. Mm-hmm. But because of her always trying to get into his head, he now also has psychic powers, and he's been able to block his face so she can never see. So even when they're having their big showdown, he's like, "Look at me! You don't even know what I look like," and she just can't see his face. So when you have Jennifer Lopez going through this crazy mindscape of surreal art and architecture, and it's wow, the mind's a crazy place. The mind in this movie it's a hallway, and the floor has fake blue crappy CG electricity zipping through it. Okay. It's got a nice little fog on it, and on the walls are all these flat screen iPad looking things where she could walk up and pick it up, and it's a memory of whoever's mind she's in, and then she's able to kind of like zoom in, and now she's in the memory, and that's all it is. There's no crazy weird mindscapes of the first one. It's just a hallway with smoke and a little bit of electricity. It's like someone said, I need you to do The Cell. You have no budget and you have 20 minutes. Go! And they just had to rush and put something together. It is the most low effort sequel, and it's a fine concept. It's just everybody in it is a bad actor. It's a bad director, bad script writer. Everything is terrible. I highly recommend watching it with friends. Have some drinks or something and just laugh your ass off, because The Cell 2 is fantastic.
Do some acid, smoke some weed.
Whatever it takes to make you laugh at movies, do it for this one.
All right. The Cusp.
The Cusp, yeah. And at first, I couldn't understand what they were saying. And it's like, the cut? The cup? What is... And they say it a bunch at the beginning. It's like, I don't know what this guy's called. Hopefully they'll say it again. And they do, about 40 more times. And eventually someone said, the Cusp. And they like really enunciated it. And it's like, oh, what a dumb fucking name.
I mean, I'll take the Cusp over the Bye-Bye Man, the Chestnut Man, Slender Man, like all the mans.
All right, what do you got?
I saw The Guilty on Netflix, starring Jake Gyllenhaal.
All right.
The end. All right. So I believe I've said it on this podcast before that I like movies that are simple, and I love when a movie can engage me with the small number of actors and very minimal locations. This is essentially the Jake Gyllenhaal show all in one room.
Oh, we don't like hear the calls and then cut to the people?
Nope. I mean, there's one... So there's an opening shot in the movie. It's like essentially a wide shot of Los Angeles, and there's like a California wildfire going on. And so there's all these calls coming in because he's a detective who something bad happened to. So now he's kind of like working the desk job and the call center as opposed to like being out on the street.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of calls coming in today because all the wildfires going on. And from the get-go, you can just tell he's kind of like this angry, agitated dick. He's getting a call from he calls his, I guess, ex-wife because he like wants to talk to his daughter, and she's like, I don't think that's a good idea right now. And he's just getting angry, and he just seems like a real shitty husband and that kind of stuff. And you get some fun, like Bill Burr calls in one time because I guess he's like working at a bar, and there's just like a bar fight going on. And it's just like, well, you need to call someone else kind of thing. And Bill Burr was like, well, what fucking good use are you? And just like, doing his Bill Burr stuff. And it's a fun little bit.
Is every caller a recognizable person?
No, I think other than Bill Burr's very distinct voice, you probably wouldn't recognize any. Okay. Like Ethan Hawke is a character he talks to, but Ethan Hawke's one of those actors who's just like, wait, is that Ethan Hawke? Like it's not like his voice is super memorable, unless you've seen a lot of Ethan Hawke stuff, I guess.
Big Hawkhead.
But yeah, the movie's like 90 minutes. It's very tight.
You got a lot of tight 90s this episode.
Yeah, it's perfect. If you ever seen a movie like Buried or Hard Candy, it's in that realm. And those are both movies I really, really like. Jake Gyllenhaal's really good in this movie, and it's just him on the phone the entire time. And it's him trying to like crack a case from his computer. And it's really cool how I didn't know that police call centers like have as much information as they do. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe this is just Los Angeles particularly because Los Angeles has a ton of money.
Or movie world.
Yeah. But because he was a detective, like I think technically everyone is on the police force who works at the police call center, but he was actually like a detective who was on the streets investigating, like doing shit where these people were pretty much, okay, what's your emergency? I'll send someone. Him calling the fire department or the highway patrol, like having connections to all these people trying to like get a car to stop a car that may have the person in. It's like, all I know is that it's a white van. I don't have the license plate yet. Yeah, it's just really cool how it's all done. If I have one complaint, like Jake Gyllenhaal's character, basically you find out he shot a kid and he's going to trial the next day for it, and he's not sure if he's going to go to prison or not. So that kind of like adds to his like, it's like, this is kind of his like, I want to do one last good thing before I may go away. You don't like, you find out what happens in the court case. It's just for the most part, I didn't think Jake Gyllenhaal was a good, like, through all the clues of the story, you kind of figure out, like, he's kind of a dirty detective. Like, he's kind of a shitty person, and he deserves to go to jail. But, like, him solving this case, I don't think really redeems any of that. It doesn't, like, none of this makes me believe he's a good guy. Like, he just did a good job. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very tense. It's a lot of fun. It's short, and it's impressive what a tight script and a good actor can do to carry a movie where you're really only in one location. And I would recommend it to you if you're a fan of films, or you're a film student and want like a crash course in less is more. This is one of those movies. Also check out Buried in Hard Candy. Hard Candy's the best of the three. But I mean, Buried is a movie where it's Ryan Reynolds in a coffin the entire time, and it's super awesome and engaging. And I love these kind of movies. So this one really struck a chord with me. And there's some twists and turns in this that you may or may not see coming. Okay. And I won't spoil it for you in case you do want to see it.
I would like to watch this. To me, it feels like this is a pandemic movie. This is we need to produce something. How can we make a movie where we have a director, a cameraman, and one star, and then we could do a bunch of stuff in post?
I mean, there was other people in the call center, like, next to him and everything. Like, there are other actors in it. It's just, they really get, like, just a couple lines here and there. Jake Gyllenhaal was on Conan O'Brien's podcast, and he talked about, like, yeah, this was the perfect movie to make during pandemic times, because it was essentially a closed set. We didn't have to go anywhere, and I don't know if it was made because of the pandemic or if this was already in the works and it just happened to work out. Like, we can do this movie because we only really need like 10 people on set, kind of thing.
I bet this is a good script, but no one's gonna want to watch it, so we're gonna put it in the file. And then when the pandemic hit, they're like, shit. We gotta find. Okay, this is a big space and alien invasion. Nope, can't do that. Too many people. Was it? Oh.
But see, like, at the same time, other than Jake Gyllenhaal's paycheck, I would imagine, to get him to be in it, like, this is the perfect movie to release anytime, I would think, because the budget would be super low. Yeah. Because
I just feel like if this was made in 2016, it would have been like the Halle Berry one, where you would listen to someone, then you would see what's happening, and you would constantly be going into the calls and finding out what's going on. Whereas if this one never cuts away from him, I can see that being because it's the pandemic, let's just make this thing. Right. Yeah. But that sounds cool.
It is cool.
That. I've heard people say good things about it, but
yeah, I mean, I think it's a movie not for everyone, because it's like, oh, I can see people going, yeah, I saw that. It's just like, it was just him in a room the whole time. I didn't care. I wanted to see like some action.
All right, we kind of have a triple threat headline here. We have 3 things that we definitely want to talk about.
1, politics. 2, religion.
All right, so we're going to talk about DC Fandome released all their goodies for the upcoming year. For those who don't know what DC Fandome is, it's just a sneak peek at all the upcoming events. We got a lot of trailers for things coming out in 2022 and sneak peeks at things for 2023.
95% of it, I don't give a shit about.
Yeah, it's like, I don't care about Super Pets.
The car Batmobile thing.
Batmobile thing?
Yeah, it's like, it's a cartoon where it's like Cars from Pixar, but it's all Batman vehicles.
Didn't see that. No, I mean, I didn't watch DC Fandome because I don't want to sit and hear a bunch of jerk-offs talk about, like, what an amazing journey. Yeah. What a pleasure to work with.
We're so excited to show you guys this cool thing. Yeah. It's like, you guys aren't excited.
Shut the fuck up and play your trailer. And that's why I just wait and then keep refreshing YouTube until something comes up.
This is the first time in a long time where, like, I knew a trailer was coming out and I was, like, kind of going back every 15 minutes. It's like, I need to see this shit.
So if you don't know, we got a new trailer for The Batman.
Are we going to talk about other trailers? Because let's talk about those first.
We'll knock these out real quick. Okay, so Aquaman and Shazam, all we got was like behind-the-scenes footage of what's to come.
And those are probably the 2 most enjoyable DC things that I've seen
so far
of the DC universe.
But
I don't love them.
Yeah.
Well, Aquaman I think is my favorite. There's good stuff in Aquaman, but I'd be okay if they never made any more of these, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's like Shazam and Aquaman are good movie. One of the only one of the only good ones from the DCEU that we have. But watching these just made me go like, yeah, okay, fine. I don't care. Whatever. Yeah. They'll be fine. Especially the Shazam one. It's just like, I think it's going to get too big compared to the first one. The first one's kind of a smaller story, and this has like other gods and other worlds and stuff. It may be too much.
Yeah.
And Aquaman will just be Aquaman. I can't see it being too crazy.
I don't think I'll pay to see them unless you're like, hey man, I'm going to go see this. You want to come? I'll be like, yeah, sure. But I honestly might not.
Maybe I force you to do it for the pod, huh?
That's true. Yeah, that's fine.
Then we got we didn't get anything for Wonder Woman. Just saying, Part 3 is in the works. Still Patty Jenkins, 2023, 2024, something like that.
Right.
All right. So, one that I don't have much to talk about. Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Fun little trailer. I like John Cena. He looks like he's at home with his character, and it just looks like a good time. I don't have much else to say about any of the other characters because I don't know anything about them. This is out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah, it seems like a fun little ragtag group of characters, and the fact that John Cena came out, and it's like we already kind of have one of you guys. Like we got The Rock, or Dwayne Johnson. He's just our guy. Like I don't need to see more pro wrestlers. It's like because they're also like the only people in the world who look like them. It's just like they're just so massive. It's like I can't imagine these people in normal day situations. Like it just seems so weird. But the fact that he's just playing just a buff superhero murderer like it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I thought that the hugging eagle was kind of like I like that he has like this weird pet eagle. I think it's kind of fun. So yeah, I'll definitely check it out. And I've grown to really enjoy John Cena. I think he's at his best in comedy. I don't necessarily know if I want to see him try and do, August Osage County.
That movie is the perfect go-to of like just weird, dry melodrama. I don't know what that movie's about, but
a family in turmoil.
Yeah.
That means it'd be funny to see like John Cena do like Pride and Prejudice or something like that.
Yeah.
But it'd be like, why?
Yeah. I'll check it out. It's coming in January, so.
Yeah. I don't know anything about that character. The only, he's a bad guy in Suicide Squad, so it'll be weird to see him be the good guy in this, I guess.
But I think he'll still be doing the bad guys, or the bad things.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Anything for peace, yeah. The next one would be Black Adam. I mean, this movie has taken forever. It was, like, announced over 10 years ago that The Rock would play Black Adam.
I think it was, like, not long after Man of Steel, maybe.
Yeah, it was, and it's a passion project for him, so I'm glad he stuck around to do this. I'm glad we actually got to see more, because last year it was just an animatic. But I'm kind of excited for this one. It'll be fun to see The Rock be the bad guy. I'm sure he'll do something messed up, but he'll be, like, justified. And maybe they'll even redeem him at some point down the road. But, like, he is the bad guy of this movie. Because we have Dr. Fate and Hawkman and others trying to stop him. And I really like that there are good characters and it's a good cast. And it feels like it's almost a backdoor spinoff for some of these characters.
The Rock's great and all. And, like, I feel like I've seen interviews with him where it's just like my audience knows what they get into when they see like a Rock movie. Like I'm the hero, I always win. I'm not gonna do necessarily like hard art. I mean, has he done hard art? Like
Pain and Gain.
Oh yeah. But I mean, I would love to see The Rock be just a straight up son of a bitch. But I just don't know if that's in his comfort zone. And
it'd be a shame for them to try to redeem him this early because this is just his first movie. He's not even the villain for the next Shazam movie, so I feel like he needs to stay a bad guy for a while. And if you want to redeem him after Shazam 3, okay, fine. Yeah. But not in his first movie.
If he stays evil, I'm for it. If it's just like, oh, he's kind of evil in the beginning, and then he redeemed himself by the end of the first movie, I'd be like, who cares?
Yeah, it'll be one of those things like, oh, he killed the Pharaoh's son, and like, oh man, this guy's messed up. He kills children. But the Pharaoh's son had a disease that was going to take out the entire country, so it was a mercy killing, something like that.
Anti-hero stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just going to be one of those things where him and Shazam will be fighting, and then here's this thing that's even stronger, than we got to work together. And they do the Predator like handlock thing, and who cares?
Yeah.
But
I was like, I'll watch it.
Yeah, I need a little bit more. I need to see a trailer, but so I'm cautiously pessimistic about it. But I hope it's fun.
And then we got The Flash, another DC movie that has taken forever, but one of the few that has actually stuck around, because years ago they said, oh, we're doing Green Lantern Corps, and we're doing a Cyborg movie, and we're going to do a Trench movie spinoff from Aquaman. They were like just saying anything and everything was going to be a movie. And most of those have all been taken off any sort of slate, except for The Flash. And I'm glad they're kind of doing Flashpoint right at the beginning. It seems weird to do like his first movie to do the big time travel, alter the world, but I think this movie is going to treat it as the soft reboot for the DCEU. We're not going to get Ben Affleck back. We're not going to get Henry Cavill back, but we do want to keep our Aquaman. We want to keep our Wonder Woman. So we do this Flashpoint thing and just show, look, this is DC's kind of multiverse, and get people on board with it, so when he goes back to his time and if things aren't quite right, everyone's going to just understand what's going on. So I think it's very smart, because you can't continue with Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah.
And what other story was really ongoing? Like Wonder Woman probably will be in the 90s or the 2000s or something, so all of her stuff is in the past before any of this, so that stuff stays untouched if you do a Flashpoint thing, because it'll just kind of get rid of all the Steppenwolf and Doomsday Mother Box sort of stuff.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if I need to see Wonder Woman take on the 90s or early 2000s. Like, send it to Blade Runner times. Like, make it in the future and Heroes Are Dead or something.
That would be, I mean, if we ever got a Batman Beyond movie, that would be cool to see her, like, still palling around. Because when I rewatched Batman Beyond, I had that thought of, like, where the fuck are the Justice League? Did they die? Did they have a big thing and died and Batman was the only one that survived? But there is an episode where Superman comes back, but he's possessed by Starro. He's been possessed by Starro for years, and there's a new Justice League. They don't really ever say what happens to Wonder Woman or Green Lantern and stuff like that, but it was nice to see that, like, okay, at least some of them are still alive.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think this is, other than the main thing we're going to talk about, the trailer that I was most interested in. I know some people don't necessarily love Ezra Miller as the Flash.
Yeah.
But, I'm
not here for him.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily against him in terms of how he plays the character. But I think the suit looked interesting. I liked kind of its
glowing piping and stuff.
Yeah, glowiness. I think that'll make some fun cosplays and stuff.
Sure.
You see how people do it.
And I think it's early. Like, we're still going to have the lightning crackling all around him.
Sure. And it's cool to see Michael Keaton back, but at the same time, this just feels like I don't know, if this trailer came out 10 years ago, I'd be like, wow. Oh, maybe not even 10, maybe like 5. I'd be like, oh, great, awesome. But it just always seems like they're just trying to catch up to Marvel. It's just like, oh, they have a multiverse thing. Let's do Flashpoint, fix all of it. It's just like, can we throw time travel or multiverse or anything to bring in nostalgia or whoever we can to just we're just throwing everything at the wall, so hopefully it brings in enough people to make money. And it just seems like we don't really care what the fucking story is. Here's Michael Keaton, and here's the most famous Flash storyline, because name any other Flash storyline. No, most people can't.
I can't.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope it's good, and it's cool to think of here's a Flash and Michael Keaton team up Batman movie. But once again, I'm cautiously pessimistic.
I'm very surprised that it's just still called The Flash. I'm very glad that it is, like, it's supposed to be, it's his movie. We're not focusing, like, yes, that's cool that Batman is in this, but they didn't do like a Batman v Flash. I like that it's just, this is a Flash movie and we're going to do all the fun Flash things. So I don't know. And hopefully if this is good, if people like Michael Keaton in this role, I think we will get a Batman Beyond based off him. I don't know. I hope they bring back Jeffrey Dean Morgan as, a Batman, as Thomas Wayne Batman. I think that'd be cool. I'd like to see a lot of different multiverse in this.
I'll wait till I get a full trailer. We'll see. They've consistently let me down, so.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be cautious with any sort of DC movie. But one that I think we could all probably get pretty excited for.
Holy shit.
This Batman trailer is so good.
Yeah, I knew I was going to like the trailer. And it's like, I don't ever want to assume anything. But just from the first sort of teaser trailer we got, I was like, this movie looks incredible. Mm-hmm. And this just sealed the deal. Like, I'm a big movie fan, but I don't get excited. I'm excited for this.
Yes. And the fact that it's only like 5 months away is crazy.
Yeah. I've been a big fan of Matt Reeves since Cloverfield, and he hasn't really made that many movies. It's Cloverfield, Let Me In, and then the two Apes movies. And the two Ape movies are fucking incredible. So, yeah, I think visually it looks. I think the reason you love Batman Begins is because Gotham looks like Gotham. Mm-hmm. This looks like Gotham.
Absolutely.
Like the city looks great. I think Zoe Kravitz is a great choice for Catwoman. Mm-hmm. I think Paul Dano is the perfect choice for the Riddler. Mm-hmm. Colin Farrell looks fucking unrecognizable as the Penguin, and I love that he's got this like New Jersey Tony Soprano, Chris Christie thing going on. Like, he looks weird, but he also looks like it's like, I've seen so many movies that are these big budget movies where the prosthetics look not great, but he looks like a real person.
That looks like a person,
yeah. And I love the choice there. I think the car looks cool.
So glad that it's not some crazy tank or anything. It's just a muscle car.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. It's only his second year as Batman. He'll eventually get to something crazy and bat wings and stuff, but right now, just needs a souped up car.
Yeah. Like every shot in this trailer just looks fantastic.
That final shot where he's walking and it's upside down, walking towards it, and the music already iconic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think his suit looks fucking awesome.
Can we talk about the suit for a second?
Let's talk about the suit.
Okay.
You don't like it?
I love it.
Okay.
It is the best suit. It looks a lot like the Arkham games. Sure. It's got a little more busyness to it, but
I think it's busyness, but subtle in its busyness, though. Does that make sense?
Yes. It's not busy in like, look, we put in abs and nipples, and even
it's not like protruding with like weird shoulder spikes or anything.
No, it's really subtle, and it looks like very tactical, and it makes absolute sense. But it still like has a lot going on visually without being like clustered.
Yeah.
Two things that I love about this outfit is the cowl is great. Mm-hmm. It's not too long of ears, makes a good silhouette. But I think the best thing is the collar. It has a tall collar around his neck for his cape and stuff. And it just, I don't know what it is. It just adds a little something that makes it look so damn cool. Love this suit. Best suit so far.
All right. My only issue with this trailer is how bulletproof they made him. It's like, I'm not inherently against, it's because of course, like if you're fighting criminals who all have machine guns, you're going to have a suit that's at least somewhat bulletproof. But I mean, it's a great shot of him in like that dark hallway, and they're all like machine gunning him down, but it just seems so like Iron Man. It's like, the dude has eye holes and a big gap like in his face. Like, no one ever seems to want to shoot this guy in his face. And if you're going to it's not like he's got it painted over or got some sort of guard that he like flips on when he's getting shot by bullets, which would have been like such an easy thing to do and make him even more scary and unhuman looking and like strike fear. But like, he's always just has his mouth open, and no one ever seems to want to aim for his head. But that's movie stuff. I can sort of forgive that.
But that's also real life stuff. Like, I remember watching a thing about a bulletproof vest, and they're like, well, why is it only here? Why doesn't it go down your arms? Why doesn't it go higher on your neck? Why is it always just this? Because when most people fire and they're not like trained to fire on you, they see you as a mass, and you just aim for the center target.
No,
I think that's exactly.
But like, at the same time, if you're not trained, you're also just kind of firing randomly. You're telling me like he's not worried about that single stray bullet that can catch him in the chin?
He'll catch it in the teeth. Yeah, you're gonna break that chin with a bullet? Nah, Robert Pattinson's got a chin.
That chin's been doing like 1,000 push-ups a day.
But But I love that shot just because of like the music goes with the bullets, and I love it when things sync up like that. Makes it very cool.
And there was a comment on YouTube that I really liked where it said, "Are we sure that this Batman didn't kill his parents?" Because
yeah, he punches a lot of people in this. He's just like really fucking people up.
Which like everyone shits on the Snyder Batman, but like that warehouse scene, I know a lot of people really love because of like how brutal it was. This looks brutal too, and it just looks like Robert Pattinson is pure rage, and like who knows what the fuck Andy Serkis is talking about, but like just him going like, "My God, what have we done?" or whatever he says, just like I don't even know, and I'm excited.
And I've always criticized every version of Batman because they all kill, and Batman doesn't kill. But if one Batman's gonna kill, I'm kind of okay with this one does, because especially because it is his second year. Like maybe he makes a mistake, but I can see him still, this Batman being I'm going to break your knee and your hand. You're never going to be able to run or shoot a gun again. I'm not going to kill you, though, but I'm really going to, like, make sure you can't even be a criminal anymore.
Yeah, because there's always that stuff. I think they do it in the cartoon, too, where it's just, like, Batman is known for just, like, putting, like, or it's, like, a throwaway line. It's like, oh, Batman doesn't kill, but he'll put you in the hospital. But it's always just, like, he just knocks some guy out, and it's, like, it never really seems that brutal, except in the Snyder one, where it's like, no, I want to see him, like, breaking dudes, like, faces, like, smashing everything. Not necessarily kill. Like, if he kills, fine. But, yeah, give me full-on barbarian rage Batman who's just fucking dudes up.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I love Andy Serkis as Alfred.
Great choice.
And I like, because Andy Serkis also, not only is he British and has a cool look to him, but I think he's like still young enough to where
for
like
Robert Pattinson's age.
For Robert Pattinson's age, and also like of all the like Jeremy Irons is a good choice, but also Jeremy Irons is just old now. But, like, Andy Serkis seems like the type of guy who wouldn't mind, like, picking up a double-barrel shotgun and taking dudes out who are, like, breaking into Bruce Wayne's house. Like, he seems like he could hold his own, too, without him ever even doing anything on screen yet. And I hope we get a trilogy with these, because if this is an indication of, like, what's to come, I'm all fucking for it.
Sure. I do want to talk about what's next. But going back to Alfred real quick, I think Alfred may be the best cast comic book character. There's no bad Alfred castings. No. Even like in Gotham, I didn't like him at first. I thought his accent was a little too like Cockney or stuff. But as it goes along, he's a really good Alfred. Now I haven't seen the Pennyworth show where it's like Alfred as a young man.
Okay, I forgot that.
It's on Stars or something like that. I guess it's on its like third fucking season.
Is it really?
Yeah. Like how could this character be interesting when you don't have Batman? And I know he has a long history in the comics, but I don't care about Alfred unless he's helping Batman. I can't believe it's on 3 seasons. It's either very good and no one's talking about it, or it's the only thing that this network has, and they gotta have something.
Yeah, Stars kind of has a tendency to carry shows along longer than they need to be, but that's only because like no one's really watching any of their stuff, so it's just like, all right, this is all we got, we might as well just keep making it.
So Alfred, it's good. If you get cast as Alfred, then you're a good actor. And
I feel like Alfred is the kind of the actor who needs to be the best actor, because you just need someone to be brooding, essentially be Batman. Not that you want a shitty actor to be Batman, but like Alfred is the guy who is sort of like the conscience and emotional connection for Bruce/Batman, and like he's the one who given sage advice and who's like healing him when he like comes home covered in like cuts and bullet holes and bruises and stuff. Like Alfred's the one you kind of like root for because he's just the sweet man caring for like this lost child. It's a de facto father-son relationship. So you want the best person to be Alfred. I love everything in this trailer. No real complaints other than, maybe being a little bit too bulletproof. But that's without even seeing the movie. So we'll see what happens. I can't wait. I think it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, one of my most anticipated for next year.
And it's so interesting that Nolan's movies aren't even old. And everyone's just like, this is the Batman movies. Oscar-worthy shit, some of the greatest performances, and like since 2008 when The Dark Knight came out, we've already had another person win an Oscar for playing the Joker, and this movie, which might be considered the best Batman yet, and it's still just a trailer that's out. And I'm so
And then
excited.
later that year, we have another version of Batman in Michael Keaton's Batman. Like, we're getting some Batman next year.
Which, Batman's my favorite comic book character, so I'm all for it. But at the same time, it's just like, man, is Batman really the only like DC character people care about?
He's the only one I ever cared about.
The only one they can seemingly do right on screen. And I say that, and I like Henry Cavill as Superman and Christopher.
Just in bad movies.
He's just in bad movies. And then Christopher Reeve has a special place in a lot of people's hearts, and I understand that. But like those movies, I don't think really necessarily hold up. Sure. So yeah, I mean, Batman all the way. And I'm interested to... I'm hoping that they do some... Because he's got the best rogues gallery. I'm interested to see who they choose in future movies, because you and I have both kind of said we want to see sort of more out there characters as opposed to the grounded ones. But, and this doesn't seem like the trilogy. I assume it would be a trilogy that would like... They could probably do a Mr. Freeze. Yeah. But they're not going to do a Clayface.
I think, Clayface, Man-Bat, and...
Killer
Croc. They're all... It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy is pushing it. You probably could do it, but it seems a little far-fetched for the realism of this.
Yeah. She could be like a woman who's like specializes in poison and like maybe kills people with like a poison kiss, but she's not going to be this person who's like making giant plants grow out of the ground and like talking to them, or like
I can see like she has a thing that makes plants grow fast, but they're not sentient. They're not grabbing and whipping and stuff. It's just like she puts this down and this tree grows and it's going to push you out of the greenhouse or whatever, but it's not going to grab and hold on to Batman. I would say like she is like poisonous to the touch or even around, just like her breath, just like being around her. She can throw some poison ivy on you, or it could be a toxin. I think that's how they would play it, but even that, it's still pushing it. Yeah. So you only have like the ventriloquist, you have Hush, and I'm talking about people who are realistic and grounded that we haven't seen before. Right. So no Two-Face, even though I'd love to see a Two-Face in this world, because we've only gotten, I guess we've gotten 2 versions of it, but I wanted more out of the Christopher Nolan Two-Face, so I'd be okay with that. Firefly, maybe. I can see a Mad Hatter. You do he's a pedophile child molester, and he has his little tea party set up, and Alice is all tied, and Batman comes in, beats him up, saves the day, and really kind of shows Gotham like, this is a good guy. Maybe the police have been trying to find this Mad Hatter character for forever, and they just keep coming up with bodies, and then Batman was the one to do it. And a lot of cops are still going like, oh, fuck that guy, but Commissioner Gordon is like, no, this is why I have to partner with this guy. He actually gets stuff done. So that would be like your opening villain, where he just takes him out real quick. I was going to say, Mad Hatter would be the guy that you open with, and then through that child sex ring or whatever, that's what that would lead to the big bad of that movie. I think the only person left that fits the tone of what they're doing is Professor Pig. Okay. And maybe he's in cahoots with Mad Hatter. I don't know a lot about Professor Pig. Neither do I. But from the look of him, he looks like a serial killer who cuts up people. Yeah. So that's what I mean, essentially all of Batman's villains are... Sure, in some way. A lot of them are serial killers. I mean, you could do Zaz, I guess, too. I don't want to see Zaz again. We've seen him in Harley Quinn. We saw him in Batman Begins. Kinda. It's just like, he's boring. He kills you and then he cuts himself. I don't care. If you want to make him a minion of Professor Pig, that's fine, but kill him. Yeah, I'm not saying he needs to be the star. I'm just saying, like, you have that they've shown but never really, like, explored. I don't think. I started the Harley Quinn thing, but I told you, like, my HBO was being weird, so I never finished it. So I don't know what really goes on with Zaz in that movie. I think the overarching bad guys is going to be the Court of Owls. I was just about to pitch that too, yeah. Like, they may not show up in this one, or maybe just hints, but like, they're going to be running the show, which I'm cool with because it's a more modern Batman villain that we haven't had covered. But I also feel like, is it going to feel a little close to the League of Shadows? I know it's like, these are ninjas that are training to be assassins, and these are just aristocrats, but it's still a secret society that's controlling things from the shadows. Yeah, I think if you do this Batman because he's already 2 years in, maybe you don't even go back to League of Shadows. Like, Ra's al Ghul's dead, League of Shadows is destroyed, whatever. Like, that whole thing is done. Or at best, they're sort of the last remnants of them sort of
curved.
They're licking their wounds and
curved into the Court of Owls,
sure,
or absorbed by the whatever. It doesn't matter. But I think if you're going to do Court of Owls, why not do it at the time in America where they're saying tax the rich and like bring down like the elitist upper class?
Yeah.
Because here are the people who are like doing that and keeping Gotham as shitty as it is, and Batman's trying to clean it up. Like Batman should be the one to maybe take down, and the fact that he's a rich guy taking down all the rich guys, like there's layers there that I think you could really explore and do some interesting stuff. But another interesting thing is like, assuming this is a trilogy, what is Pattinson's like arc as a, as Batman? Like if movie 1 is angry Batman, is movie 2, he's now more self-assured, he's not as angry, like where's his curve? And I'm not going to really speculate now, but I'm interested to see where that goes.
I'm sure that it's like, first one's like, he uses his rage and maybe he goes overboard. Second one is like, how can I do anything good? If I go overboard, I'm just as bad as them. But if I don't go far enough, it's just gonna keep happening again and again. And it's that sort of kind of like Spider-Man 2 of, can I really be a hero? And the self-doubt. And then
I'm Batman, no more. Toss it in the trash can.
And then the third one is the look at all the good I have done. And
because what I liked about Nolan's Batmans is they were very distinct in terms of their themes. Like the first one was about fear, and the second one was about chaos, and the third one was about whatever the third one was about, I forget. Justice, there was definitive sort of themes in those, and then. But I think someone said the first movie would be I Am Vengeance, so this is Angry Batman. The second one is I Am the Knight, to where he's like, this is the Batman and then getting to that point or something like that, and then the third one is I Am Batman, and it's like, this is his final version, this is how he this is where he finally saves Gotham for good or whatever. I don't know.
Do you think these movies are going to be the Batman 2, the Batman 3, or do you think it's going to have to be the Batman Court of Owls, the Batman?
I think it'd be that, It's just
some things work better with the 1, 2, and 3 or whatever, and other things just
Batman with numbers I just don't think work.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man 2 and 3, like at the time was fine. I think as a film trend, we've kind of gotten away from numbers.
Yeah. And I think with Spider-Man you kind of had to, because like, okay, the second one's Amazing Spider-Man. Okay, at least it has a different enough name, and then you have Amazing Spider-Man 2. And then when you get to the third one, it's like, well, shit, we can't call ourselves Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3 anymore. So it's like, we got to find that tagline for all of them.
Yeah, because even in the Marvel Universe, the only ones they've ever done that for was Iron Man. Right?
Yes, and I guess technically Guardians, because it's like Volume 2.
Yeah, but
that's more of a music play.
Yeah, that's clever enough to where they sort of got away with it, because that's part of the characterization.
Just Iron Man though.
So yeah, the Batman versus the Superman, and then
I mean, I could see it being like
Dark Knight,
Batman, I Am the Night, or Batman, I Am Vengeance, something like that.
Yeah,
I wish Nolan's Batmans had better titles, because it's like Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and then it should be Batman Ends. But they go with Dark Knight Rises. And I think that Batman Begins now kind of like sounds weird with all of them. And it's hard to go, okay, this is Batman Begins. I mean, that one should have been called The Batman anyways, because Batman Begins is kind of weird.
And they're even Scarecrow's like, where it was like, the Batman,
yeah. And then, this one is The Dark Knight. And then it's like, what are the other names? He goes, it's like World's Greatest Detective.
Cape Crusader.
The Cape Crusader. But that sounds so cheesy.
Yeah.
But if it was like Batman, the Cape Crusader, I think would sound better. Or even Dark Knight, the Cape Crusader could have been fine. But I don't like Dark Knight Rises. It's just a kind of a messy trilogy of titles.
Yeah, it was just like, The Dark Knight was the biggest movie of all time, so we should still have The Dark Knight in there. It's like, well, what do we call it? Just Rises, Dark Knight Vengeance, whatever, just as long as it has Dark Knight in the title.
Yeah, because even if they went with Batman Ends, people would be like, wait, is this the same one? I don't know. I'm so confused. Is this a different Batman? And it's like, no, you got to put Dark Knight in, because at least people go, oh, yeah, I know that. Anything else about Batman?
Two things real quick. big fan of Jeffrey Wright. Love him as Commissioner Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
No complaints there.
Yep.
And then real quick back to Paul Dano as the Riddler. I have been saying for years that the Riddler is an underutilized Batman character, and he could be Joker-esque if given the right tone and story, and because he's kind of, I think the version he's most known for is probably like the Arkham games at this point, but even a little bit of the animated series as well. He's always sort of been just like a cartoony character.
Playful.
Yeah, he's just like playful and just wants to prove how smart he is, which is that's a fine character arc. Or even Jim Carrey's version, I guess, too. But he's always just kind of been like not very threatening to Batman, and I just think like you can make him very much like Heath Ledger's Joker, where it's just like you never know quite what's going to happen, and you could do some really terrifying things with the Riddler and setting up these like Seven-esque mysteries that Batman needs to solve, because he is the greatest detective. Like, let him detect shit. And it seems like they may have possibly given me what I've wanted in a Riddler. So I want to thank Matt Reeves preemptively. Still gonna wait for that trailer.
I don't need to see another trailer.
No, I don't need to see another trailer. But yeah, I'm excited for the Riddler, and I hope he is how I envision him.
Do you think he will wear a question mark jacket at some point? Will we get a classic Riddler look, or will it be the weird duct tape face goggle looking thing?
I mean, I kind of like the duct tape goggle there, whatever he's doing. I don't really care about the question mark thing. I mean, the fact that his symbol is the question mark, that's fine. Like I don't need to see him dressed up as his classic character by any means, or have a pin with the question mark pin. Who cares? As long as he is menacing and has good riddles and gives Batman a hard time, I'm all for it.
Cool. Did you hear the runtime for this movie?
No, I imagine it was 2.5 hours.
They said it's close to 3 hours long.
That doesn't surprise me.
And it's like one of our movies that we'll talk about, The Last Duel. When I was about to see, I was like, oh, how long is this thing? Like, oh, god damn it. I knew it was going to be a long one.
Yeah,
and
Ridley Scott movies are never really short.
Bond was long, and it's just like, you know what? I want the tight 90. And this...
They don't make tight 90s anymore, unless it's Jake Gyllenhaal call center.
But this being longer, that just tells me they got a lot of good story to tell. And there's probably hopefully. Yeah. And that hopefully there's
longer
not
doesn't
a lot
necessarily mean better.
True. But it seems like this would be... Like, they made Justice League had to be under 2 hours because BVS was too long, and people were complaining about that, so they were strict. I feel now they're going back on that again. Freaking Warner Brothers, they're so reactionary about everything. But is it...
But this is something out of their extended universe.
Sure.
So this is just like, do whatever you want, because this is its own thing. That will actually be good.
But yeah, did they learn their lesson? Like, okay, our problem with all these other things was studio intervention and us not letting filmmakers do the thing. And look what it cost us. It cost us more money to redo Justice League just to release this goddamn Snyder cut for the fans. We pissed them off, so maybe we just trust in our filmmakers. And then when you have Matt Reeves, it's just like, yeah, I'm going to make a long one. And they probably think 2 hours. And then a 3-hour movie comes across. I could see them going, look, we can get an extra show or two per theater per day if we cut this down. This is way too long. But if not, I mean, I'm okay with that they would leave it this long.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where you have a director who has not made a bad movie yet and comes with you with a great idea, and it's a great idea that you know will make money because it's established property of Batman. It's like Batman's our biggest moneymaker. Yeah, you can probably give him a little bit more trust than when you're trying to like establish. And who knows, this movie could end with, your classic post-credit scene where Batman's on a roof and then he hears a sound, he turns around, you just see like the red cape of Superman, and it's like, and, what's going to happen there? It's like, it's hard because I want to see Batman interact with other superhero characters, but at the same time, like, no other superhero fits in Gotham. Like, it's Batman's world, and that's why I love that story, No Man's Land, where Superman shows up and he just kind of like makes it harder, and it's like I kind of like that aspect of it, but Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I want to see weird shit with Batman, but at the same time, it's hard to do right.
Mm-hmm. Before we move on to our next topic, I got a list of 7 comic book movies being released next year.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to read them off to you, and you just tell me...
I'll rate them 1 to 10 on how excited I am.
Okay. All right. First one, and these are in order of release. First one, January 28th, Morbius.
3.
Yeah, I'm not excited for this, and this is either going to be a big bomb that nobody gives a shit about, or it's going to be a weird surprise Venom hit because it's January, people are starved for something, and it's like, oh, loosely tied to the Spider-Man universe.
I imagine it's tied to kind of closer, in the same world as Venom, which now we've established is connected to the Tom Holland one, so it's like...
Well, we know it's connected because Vulture's in the trailer, so...
Well, right.
Yeah.
So it's weird that Michael Keaton is now in both these comic book universes at the same time.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Strange.
Yeah.
All right, second one to come out on March 4th, The Batman.
10, 11.
Absolutely. And then 3 weeks later, on March 25th, we have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
7.
Yeah, that sounds good. Then on May 6th, we have Thor, Love and Thunder. Love and Thunder.
Because I haven't seen a single thing, I'm going to say 5.
Yeah, I think this could potentially be... I mean, even though it's Taika Waititi again, I could see people going like, well, it's no Ragnarok. Oh, they're trying this too hard, and I don't like Lady Thor, and that's stupid. But I'm not super excited because I'm one of the people who didn't love Ragnarok, even though I love Taika Waititi. Yeah, I'm not super.
Yeah,
excited.
It's a 5 for me because no matter what, I don't expect it to be bad, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it's just kind of like in the grand scheme of Marvel.
July 8th, we have Black Panther.
5 again.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with it, but once again, not a big fan of the original Black Panther. But it is, I would say, mainly Chadwick Boseman's fault that I wasn't in love with the first Black Panther. So I'm a little more excited, so I'd give this one a 6. I give it a 6. I'm interested to see how it's handled, but I don't care as much as other Marvel properties.
Yeah. All
right, and then 3 weeks later after that, we have Black Adam. I'd give this a 7. I'm pretty excited for this. Yeah. 7.
I'm going to go with 4.
Okay. Then October 7th, Spider-Verse 2, or Across the Spider-Verse, or whatever they're calling it. Or Through the Spider-Verse.
I'm going to go with 8.5 because I love the first one, and I think Miles Morales is a great character, and I loved playing him in his PS4 game, and I'm excited to see more because I think the Into Spider-Verse was funny and great action and cool story and just did everything right. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lesser sequel, but if Phil Lord and Chris Miller are involved, I'm going to check it out regardless. So 8.5.
I'm going to give that one a 9. And then last of the year, November 4th, The Flash. This one I'll give an 8. All right, let's get down to our next topic.
Big 2.
The final 2 topics. We both saw a new movie that came out this weekend, The Last Duel, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Adam Driver, Matt Damon,
Jodie Comer,
and Ben Affleck. This was a movie I was interested in seeing, but not super excited. I just really kind of wanted to know the deal. Mm-hmm. Did it happen? Did it not? And who wins the duel? That's really the only reason I paid my $7 for this. But at the end of it, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was very well made, well acted, and had a really nice, unique structure that I wasn't expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rate this pretty high. I would probably give this an A-. I highly recommend it.
So top 10 of the year so far?
I mean, I guess, just by default. But also, and that being said, this isn't something I'm ever going to revisit. It's not like the duel was so cool that it's like, I got to tune into this movie so I can see that duel again. Yeah. And the story isn't so interesting that it makes me want to revisit and see all the little differences. I kind of got it all out of my system the first time. and it's great, and it will go away.
Yeah, I feel bad for the dudes who don't understand marketing, because this movie is definitely marketed as like Ridley Scott, director of Gladiator, like look at these action scenes with like Matt Damon and Adam Driver in armor and like these battles. It's like the battles take up maybe 5 minutes of the entire movie, and it's a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah.
And so a lot of guys are going to go in there and just be real disappointed that there's not like these epic battles going on.
Yeah.
You get glimpses, but it's not really about that. It's about this, who may or may not have done what. But yeah, I agree. I really love the structure of this movie. I love that it's broken up into 3 parts from 3 perspectives. And I love movies that like will show dialogue and then in one way, and then you get the exact same dialogue, but the delivery is different, and it just changes the scene completely. And I thought how they did all that was really cool and interesting. And I watched it with my fiance, and the first story is like almost so sweet, and like I loved the relationship of Matt Damon and Jodie Comer, and they just like seemed right for each other in a time period where like men and women probably were never right for each other for the most part, especially noblemen and women, because a lot of those marriages were arranged just for money and power and all that kind of stuff. A name, yeah. And I liked that they were very sweet to each other, and it only made me sad because I knew the next chapter would not be like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Like in our first, we see it from Matt Damon's point of view, and he sees himself as like very heroic and noble and a loving husband and just an all
I do everything for my queen and my wife and my house.
Yeah. I do what's right, and I deserve the good things that are supposed to happen to me.
And anytime I get angry, it's
totally
deserved
justified.
anger. Yeah.
And then we see from Adam Driver's point of view, and he's kind of like a fool. He's more of a whining child, always complaining about things, and doesn't look heroic at all. And then when we see it from the third perspective, he's an absolute piece of shit, not a very good husband, just like very prone to anger, and totally bound by honor to do certain things, even though he's just like teeming with rage at most parts. And I'm glad they didn't try to put on crazy French accents or anything like that. They just spoke with their normal speaking voices, maybe a little bit of an inflection here or there, because that would have taken me out. And I think this allowed Matt Damon to just act. Yeah. And he does most of the different acting. Like Adam Driver doesn't change a whole lot.
No, I'd say he's the one who stays the most normal.
Yeah. And Jodie Comer is pretty normal as well. And so our main protagonist gets all the chance to show you how different things are perceived. And if he had an accent, I think that would have just held him back.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times movies are like, okay, all these people are French. It's filmed in France. Like all the background actors who don't have lines, I'm sure we're all actually French, or at least a lot of them. And it's like, if you want to go for accuracy, I can kind of respect that. But if you're making an English-made movie, so you have all these people speaking English but having French accents, it's like it doesn't really matter at that point because that's already wrong. Yeah. So it's just like, just let them speak however they want, because you could just pitch it as, this is how English speaking people perceive the French, or whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So none of that language stuff bothered me. No. My fiance was just like, I kind of like the accents. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
But it's not like they had like thick American accents or anything. So they definitely put on a
Adam Driver's not going, what in tarnation?
No y'alls. Yay. They're putting on enough of a European vague of the period accent without getting too language specific. All right, well, let's talk about what this story is. Okay. So we have 2 friends, Jacques and Jean. Yep. Jean is Matt Damon, and Jacques is Adam Driver. They're buddies in arms. They've saved each other's lives, and they're battle knights. Well, they're not knights yet.
They're squires.
They're squires, just fighting for king and country. they kind of get split and they kind of go their separate ways. Adam Driver becomes buddy with a duke. He's
their liege lord.
Yeah, he is the cousin of the king, who when I was watching, I was like, I know this king from something. What do I know him from? And it's like, he's from Black Mirror.
Yep.
And Into the Fucking World, and I hate that show. And this kid's got a face you want to punch. But I really liked him as the king because he's just like, he's kind of stupid. He's kind of bored of all of it.
He's like, he reminded me of Joffrey in the sense, like, I feel like he got off on being the king and like seeing these people like fight and stuff, but at the same time like not so sadistic where he's just like, oh, like
he had like the simplicity of Robin from The Veil, but he kind of got off of it on it like Joffrey did.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he wasn't malicious like, oh, we're having this duel because I want to see people fucking die. It's just kind of like, okay, we'll have it because that's what's supposed to happen. But then when the duel happens, it's like yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So
people with unlimited power do not so great stuff.
Yeah. So shorter version, pretty much Matt Damon, he's kind of waiting for his dad to die so he can take over his land, be the head honcho of the land. He meets a woman who has kind of a bad name
because her father betrayed the
king
in
some way. So if she marries him, she gets a good name. If he marries her, he can get a son and wealth.
Yep.
So that's what's going on with his life. And there's a chunk of land that he wanted that was supposed to be part of his wife's dowry, but it went to Jacques because the
liege lord, played by Ben Affleck, gave it to him because they're essentially best friends.
Yeah, he was able to fix his finances and get things in order, and they were like friends because they would like to drink and bang
women.
Yes.
And possibly each other. There was some very slight gay undertones, sure. I felt like, between those two.
I love when he shows up and he's just like, hey, get in here, take off your pants. And it's just like, no, I have a thing to talk about. Oh, okay.
Can I just say, Ben Affleck is the bomb in Phantoms, yo. But I love Ben Affleck in this. This might be my favorite Ben Affleck role. It just seemed like he was having so much fun with it.
Yeah.
And I like that he was like kind of a dick, but like, I don't know. He
was supposed to play the Adam Driver role.
Yeah.
And which I'm glad he didn't. I don't think he has the chops for it. I love Adam Driver. He's so much better. Mm-hmm. But Ben Affleck, he's just got a face and a smile that is of our time, and I can't believe him to have lived in the past.
I don't know. I was fine with it.
And it's just like knowing he's like from Boston, and he's
so is Matt Damon.
I know, but Matt Damon's a good actor. Ben Affleck's not. And it's like Ben Affleck's just trying, and I think he doesn't quite pull it off.
I guess it's not really fair because Ben Affleck is in it quite a bit, but it's not like he's like really the shining star on the screen. I wouldn't say he's necessarily stealing every scene he's in. It's just I enjoyed seeing him in this role versus other role. Like his leading stuff, I don't really care. I think he might be just a better secondary actor, or like just keep him behind the screen as the director or whatever, because I like all his directing movies, the movies he's directed. But yeah, I just thought it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it, especially for a movie that was all about rape and possible betrayal and he said, she said, and all this other stuff. Like, at least his scenes added comedy because there was really no other comedy in this movie. So maybe that's why I gravitated towards him. But yeah, I enjoyed all of his stuff.
Well, I think this is the Adam Driver show. He blows everyone out of the water every time.
For sure.
Even if his character doesn't have a lot of variety compared to Matt Damon, Adam Driver just acts circles around Matt Damon. So pretty much Matt Damon feels slighted because he doesn't get this parcel of land. He tries to sue, doesn't happen, and he's looked upon as just like this annoying person who is just jealous and petty. And then they go to a party for Ben Affleck's like next son or something like that, or next child. Someone was having a kid. Someone was pregnant, right?
Their mutual friend. It was the guy who, like, Matt Damon first was just like, oh, good to see you. Congratulations on your son. And he was like the one to clap when they reconciled.
Oh, okay.
I think it was
See,
it was just like a background. I don't even know if they really. I think they gave him a name, but
because didn't Adam Driver have a wife?
See, I thought so too, and
because I thought it was their child, and that's why they were invited. But then that character just kind of disappears. You don't really see what happened to her. But regardless, they're there for the.
I mean, Ben Affleck's wife was pregnant with their child, but I think this was this other guy's.
Something else, yeah. And they show up to kind of like bury the hatchet, and they're like, "Look, it's been years. This is stupid. Whatever." And he kind of gets his wife to like play nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is my old friend and nemesis. And so she is nice to Adam Driver, and he takes it as flirtation. Mm-hmm. And even though, I mean, she talked to her friends, and she thinks he's very attractive, but she knows he's a slime ball, so she can't really get behind that. And there was a great shot of, like, during Adam Driver telling the story, and he's watching her dance with Ben Affleck, and she's looking over her shoulder and smiling, and he's like, "Oh, this flirty chick! Oh, she's gonna get in trouble."
Up with her husband, like literally connected to her.
But then when you see from her story, she's telling Matt Damon, like, "Look, a lot can happen when you just give a friendly smile." Mm-hmm. Does the smile?
I love that part.
Great scene.
Honestly, I wish there was a little bit more subtlety with stuff. But I will say when these like subtle moments do happen, they really work, just like that moment. And in Jacques' story, I called him Legree the whole time. But Jacques' story, like when they're going up the stairs and she like takes off her shoes, as like, I guess he took that as an invitation. Mm-hmm. Which I'm glad I watched this with my fiance, because she gave perspective on this too, where she's just like, well, it's kind of like, I took it as like it's the same thing as like girls taking off their like heels. It was kind of her getting out of shoes that she couldn't run as fast in. Mm-hmm. So that was her like taking off her shoes to, you know, run away. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think of it like that.
No, I took it as a almost.
Well, I'm saying like from her point of view.
From her point of view, yeah. I mean, that was just a stumble up the stairs.
Yeah,
and
they just fell off. Yeah.
And I think for his, it was like, oh, look, I'm being playful. Come chase me. I don't want this. Wink, wink. Let me take my shoes off.
No, that's how. Yes, I perceive that as well. But because when she first took their shoes off and they focus on that shot, I was like, is that some old French custom where it's like, once you pop the shoes off, that means it's game time. Like that's their like dropping the panties or whatever. But you know, anyway. So yeah, I really like that. And I was surprised at. I guess we could finish the story. Sorry, I'm getting into it.
So Matt Damon has to go to collect his earnings for this last war thingy he did, and Adam Driver comes over and kind of tricks her into opening her door, and it's just kind of like, hey, I love you so much, I know you've been flirting with me, and chases her upstairs and takes advantage of her. And I think I know what you're going to say, that in his story it is straight up still rape and not even a hint of...
It wasn't until the end of the movie that I got I was like, oh, that makes 1,000% sense that he would still tell it that way. But we'll get into that later. Finish up though, Jay.
Yeah, and he kind of has his way with her.
He doesn't take advantage. He just...
Yeah, I was trying to be nice. Use nice wording.
But this is a spoiler podcast, and rape is spoiling.
He straight up rapes her, and then it's just kind of like, I know you wanted it, baby, and don't tell your husband because he's gonna murder you for it. Gives the old finger gun on his way out. And leaves and just be like, love you, girl. Peace.
My fiance was livid this entire movie. She's like, why do you keep taking me these things? Because we watched Wind River recently, where someone gets raped, and she was upset about that. She's like, I fucking hate all these pieces of shit. I'm like, I showed you the trailer. You're like, I'll see that. Don't blame this on me. But...
And so then after Matt Damon comes home, she tells him, and, you know, in the Matt Damon story, he's like so concerned about her well-being and making sure, like, is this true? Because, I'm going to go avenge you. And then we don't see it from Jacques' point of view because he wouldn't be there, but then from her point of view, he is just like so upset, and it's more of, how dare you sully my name and make me look this way by letting this happen to you. Now I have to go do this thing. Really, really nice way of just seeing things from other people's perspective.
Yeah, and like honestly, after it was all over, like it's interesting because even when you see it from all three perspectives, you're never gonna know 100% the 100% truth.
Well, I say we do, because when it tells her side, it says the truth and it stays on the screen longer.
No, I understand.
I think we're supposed to take this as the absolute truth.
Right. And I get that. And I think that's from a filmmaking standpoint, like that's what it's like. This is the truth. I can get on board with that. But you know, this being based on a real thing, it's like we'll never really know. And then like even if you say like if they didn't put that little title card in, like this is you just proven from the first two stories how they don't like. I 100% believe it was rape either way, but like, did she embellish anything in her story? Because like in Matt Damon's, he was the dutiful husband. Is she lying and like he isn't as nice, or is he nicer than she lets on? Like just because it's her story doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth. But in terms of this film's world, I believe that is the truth 100%. Yeah. I'm just saying in the real world, in any sort of case, even if you get 99% of the way there or whatever, like because humans are fallible in telling stories and like over time stories change just naturally because your memory changes or you have an idea in your head and that sort of alters your perspective. It's just interesting. Like seeing this movie really shows like no matter, you can hear all the different versions of the story and you try and piece the pieces of truth from all of them, but you're still never quite sure if it's the 100%. Yeah. So it's a real interesting take on what it means to tell the truth and stuff.
Yeah, and even at the end when Adam Driver's like at the edge of a knife and he could easily just like whisper it to Matt Damon of like, she fucking wanted it or anything like that. He flat out was just like, I did not do this. But as we've seen, like from his point of view, it wasn't rape. It was just a totally consensual thing. She was just playing hard to get. You know how these ladies of 1409 or whenever it took place.
Bunch of sluts back then.
Yeah. I mean, did you see when he came home from battle and she had her boobs all popping out and he was
how
all
dare she?
Embarrassed?
Ugh.
Harlot. So let's get to the final duel? Or is there something...
Well, yeah, I just wanted to talk about the different perspectives. Like, I liked Jacques' one the best, I think. Just because I guess it was sort of the most fun in terms of like comedy, because I liked his dynamic with Ben Affleck's character and everything. And the first story, like Matt Damon never shit on Jacques, and like obviously he wasn't privy to Jacques' private time or whatever, but like there was nothing in Matt Damon's story that led me to believe Jacques was a bad guy other than this like, accusation that he raped his wife. But there was like, you never got the idea that Jacques was like creepy or had this reputation or anything. And it was
he did have a reputation that he was, but he was never came off as like an ultra villain.
Yeah. And then you see in Jacques' storyline that he is a womanizer who's like doing orgies with his liege lord and everything. And he like, I like that they showed kind of like
the chase.
Yeah, the chase with him and whatever concubine they were with.
That
or
shows
whatever.
him like the chase is part of it.
Yeah,
it's like that's an okay thing. This is what women do.
Yeah, this is what women do. And just, you know, bends her over the bed the same way and has sex with her in front of like other people. And it's just like sex is just normal for him. And especially like because he's rich and handsome. It's like, oh, of course, all women want me. Like I liked all the like subtle details with that and everything. And just watching him like go after her and, you know, profess his love and her going like, no, it was just real interesting to me. Cause like I was watching that scene and I was like, I can't wait, but just seeing like the dialogue play out that way, and I know how it's gonna come off in the next one. It's just like it's fun that like in his mind, all her no's, of course, were just playful. Like and even says like when he's in court, he's like, "Well, she gave me. Of course, she did the natural protest. Like every woman protests to sex in this time, but really they want it." And I just found that so interesting, and because it's just like, oh, he's like. This whole story, like he's definitely admitting to rape. Like she said no, she like didn't ever like consent to it. She didn't return his like "I love you" thing. It was just like she was just doing what all women do. I was like, he's still admitting to rape. Like how is this okay? But then I realized, oh, at this time period, that's what they can say, yeah, I essentially raped somebody, but it's because they wanted it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, and I like that aspect of it. It didn't try and hide it. It was just like, no, he raped her. It's just, in his perspective, it wasn't rape because she was just doing the womanly thing. So I like that they didn't try and dance around it and make it like modernize it in a way like you're not quite sure. It's like, no, he definitely did it. Now we can get to the duel, because I just wanted to say I liked all that.
Sure.
All that, well, the structure of the film.
I wanted to get to one thing before the duel.
Okay.
Let's talk about the science of this movie. I love it.
Oh, that's okay.
It's so funny. It's just like, well, did you have an orgasm with your rapist? No. Well, then you can't get pregnant. You have to have an orgasm in order to do that.
You can't get pregnant if you're raped because it needs to be pleasurable. It's just like, the guy said you can't conceive if you've been raped or something. It's just science.
Yeah, it's just science.
Or it's scientific fact. And like, this is the most, I think, important line in this movie. And I don't know, it made me laugh, and not because it was necessarily funny, but just because like it was, especially in this time right now, everyone's going, well, you can't do this. It's just science. It's just like, that's the throwaway line to like get your point across. And I just found it so funny that even when this movie takes place over 600 years ago, all this shit is still happening now. Not even with like women and rape and, taking men's word over theirs or whatever, but just these dudes who don't understand shit going like, oh, it's just science. And it's like, you don't understand that. You're not scientists. You don't know shit.
Absolutely.
And I just thought that was real funny. That was my favorite line in the movie.
Yeah. He's just like looking at her pee in a jar and it's like, oh, I think you're low on bile. And they make sure it's like, because they always thought like we were filled with like 4 evils, like bile, spit, mucus, whatever. And it's just like, oh, your bile levels are low.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really blame science from 600 years ago. And, like, I get, like, of course there's going to be, like, wild things that they believe and eventually will get disproven. Yeah. But it was still funny that it was just a room full of old white men going, like
guys saying, we know how your body works.
We know how your body works. And it makes me real sad.
We've had senators recently saying it's like, you can't get pregnant from rape. The body knows how to shut that stuff down. Like, that's a modern person thinking they know anything about the human body. Ridiculous.
And just all these intrusive dudes going like, do you like having sex with your husband? Do you like having sex with your husband?
Well, you said he was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Another part, this is just a minor thing. Another part that made me laugh was when he comes home in her storyline and he's like, I have to leave tomorrow for a week. And she's like, oh no, please stay. I was like, that's so funny.
Yeah, I really like Jodie Comer. She's been having a stellar year. She got Free Guy and she has this.
She's super talented. If Killing Eve, she's great on.
And that's what I've heard. I just haven't ever gotten around to watching it.
That was another thing I thought was weird. It's just like a movie where she needs to put on an accent, where in Killing Eve she does every accent fantastically.
Yeah.
Like she's mastered accents, and it's a movie where she has to like just do a regular voice. And it's like, oh man, you had the one person who's like great at accents, and you're just not gonna have her do one.
There was a lot of comedy coming from her, like with that line, and she has these like really big expressive eyes, and there would be just some funny things where she would just kind of like bug her eyes a little bit, and sometimes I almost felt like it was too comical with her, like she wasn't of that time and was like a more modern person going like, oh, check out these old farts. But she's really fun and she's really good, and I hope to see more of her, and she'd make a good Harley Quinn.
Oh, okay, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
I'm kind of interested to look up the true story of this, because I actually heard of this story before I heard this movie was coming out, and I was like, oh, this sounds like real cool. And then I was even going to like read the book, and then I think a week later the trailer came out. I was like, all right, I'm going to read this book. I'm just going to see this movie. But yeah, I'm interested. It's like, I could imagine if you told me Matt Damon was secretly like 35 when this really went down and she was 16, I'd be like, that makes sense. Yeah. But like, he did fight in some wars and stuff, so I don't really know how old he was, but age everybody up for this movie. But I'd be interested to know, like, is this chick like 14 or is she 22? Is she 30? Like, I want to know a little bit more details on the real story.
Sure.
But yeah, I really like this movie, and I was really impressed with The Last Duel. I thought it was brutal, and you spent 2 hours getting to know these characters, and you're kind of like don't really care who wins. I guess you want Matt Damon to win, so Jodie Comer lives, obviously, but like she's just gonna live in a shitty marriage to the society that like puts down women and everything. And I like that you don't actually, I like that Legree didn't admit to it in the end or whatever. It's just they just murdered each other or tried to.
Yeah, so we have our final duel, and Matt Damon comes out on top. Pretty okay fight with the jousting. But like once they got off the horses, I liked all that a bit more. Yeah. Real rough and tumble.
Yeah, real rough and tumble. I thought it was pretty brutal, especially how he dies, because I have a thing with mouth stuff, and I'm just glad it didn't show like it going into like his teeth or gums or anything. I just liked that it went straight in. I was fine with that.
But you heard the teeth grinding sound. Like the sound design was awful for that. I mean, awful in a good way. It really made me feel like he's feeling all of it and like chewing down on the blade, and oh god, awful.
And I really liked all the hand-to-hand combat stuff, because I feel like in a lot of, honestly, it's just like a timing thing and just like looks cooler, so I get it cinematically, where like you have knights in armor and they'll just have this sword and like it'll swing once and it just, I guess, seemingly just chops through this armor, like it's not just because once again it just looks cool and you're trying to not make every single fight a 3-minute long thing. But I like that it seemed like a real knight-on-knight fight where, like, yes, they're still hitting them with swords, but, like, the blades grazing off or making sparks, and they have to, like, get in there, like, in their weak spots with, like, the tiny knives and everything.
Yeah, behind the knee and in the groin.
Like, you're battering everyone down to make them tired so you can kill them with, like, the small thing.
Yeah.
I think they really utilized the weapons and armor really well. And actually, my favorite shot in this whole fight, I think, is when they're still on horses, but he's like up against the wall and they kind of like grind on the wall. I thought that was really cool.
Kind of like a race car.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was just like, oh, this is a Fast and Furious scene, but with horses. I thought that was really cool how that was done. And yeah, I really dug the fight. But actually, real quick, back to the beginning of the movie, my favorite death in this movie. You already.
I was waiting for you to shut up so I could bring it up. Yep.
It is. I cackled laughing. I loved it so much. I think I even like raised my fist. I was like, yes, and like no one else in the theater cared. But Matt Damon takes a sword, like stabs the guy in the neck. It only goes in a little bit, and then he grabs the guy's back of the head and slams on the ground, so the whole blade goes out through his neck. It was the coolest kill I've ever seen. I love that. I was like, yes, give me that. So that was a good way to start off the movie for me, because I was already like, I'm in on this action sequences, because it was brutal.
Yeah, whenever I watch a movie and someone is stabbed with a knife, I'm always like, just kick it into them. I want that sword, that knife to go even further than it's supposed to. And this went all the way through the head, and it was so good. I loved it so much.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
And that was only like, a brief glimpse of the small bits of fighting we would see, but in a movie called The Last Duel, where everything's leading up to the final fight, you could have easily made that fight underwhelming, and I think Ridley Scott did a real great job of like making that fight epic. And because one-on-one fights can either be like so choreographed they don't feel real, or so like punchy that they're kind of boring, where this was just, it was all very up close and personal, but you always knew what was going on. It was brutal and bloody and well acted, and I think it was a great finale to the movie.
Did you place your bet on who would win before it happened? Did you have a thought?
Because I was thinking of reading the book, like I heard about the story and I was like, oh, let me look that up. And so like I knew how it was going to end. Because I did the Wikipedia search. I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. I can't wait to check this out. Okay. So I knew Matt Damon was going to win. I just couldn't remember if he like won, but then also still died from like the blade injury. Because I was like, what happens if there's a draw? Yeah. Do they just burn her? Because it's like, well,
let's cover our bets.
Yeah, your husband won, but at the same time he didn't. So if you're all dead, it doesn't matter.
I did vote for Matt Damon to win. And I was happy that he did. But I thought the ending would be we would see her playing with her child in the field, and he'd have dark hair.
Oh.
Because they're both blondes, they would generally probably have a blonde. And if he had dark hair, it'd be like, oh, shit.
I didn't even think of that, and that's probably... Because I wasn't quite sure how the movie was going to end. Like, once the duel was over, was it just going to, like, have them embracing and then fade to black and it was over? But I guess that could definitely be, like, the proof of, oh, it was definitely Matt Damon's kid. But you could also just have it be Adam Driver's kid, and
that's why
it'd still be blonde.
No, it'd be dark hair if it was Adam Driver's kid, and it'd be blonde if it's Matt Damon's kid, and the kid was blonde. So we could certainly assume.
Sure, but
you have that ending of like her going, "I love this kid because all I've ever wanted was to be a mother, but I know it's a rape baby. I know this is not my husband's, but he's been dead. He dies like 4 years later, and she lives for like 30 more years.
She lives for 30 more years." But he dies within... It doesn't say how many, but it says in the next few
in the
years.
Crusades,
In the Crusades, a few years later, he dies.
So, good for her. She spoke up, stood her ground, and then she got to, like, live a life of luxury.
I did like that when the crowd erupted, like, it cut to a bunch of women in the crowd going, like, yes, like...
Believe us.
Yeah, here's a woman who made an accusation and came out true, in quotation marks, only because, like, the judge was... who was the better fighter, not really by any...
Put it in God's hands.
Yeah.
I like some of the overhead shots of the duel, because it's like, oh, here's our fenced off area and people are on the walls, and then there's a huge crowd outside, like, you can't see shit. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah, this crowd is going back, like, multiple football fields in length. Yeah. They can't see anything. It's just like... So they're all just, I guess, partying shoulder to shoulder.
Waiting for the victor to come out.
Yeah. It was like the NBA team winning the championship and driving through like the city and everyone's celebrating. It's like, yeah, our team won. But it's like they didn't care who won. They just wanted to see someone.
So what would you rate it?
I'm gonna go with a B+. I think it's one of Ridley Scott's best in a while. I love medieval sword movies. I mean, even though this wasn't one that was about, battle per se. Well acted, well directed, like the look of it. The thing that keeps it from being an A is just it's a movie that you'll probably never watch again. It is a downer because it's a 2.5 hour movie about rape and seeing a lot of stuff that is a bummer that they believed back then, but what it is. Yeah. So I would not be surprised if this is up for Best Picture at the Oscars.
Sure.
But it's going to be at the bottom rung of possible win. It's going to be, if there's 10 Best Pictures, this one's going to be number 10 on most likely to win. I don't think it's going to grab a ton of awards. Maybe costume design, set design, or production design, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't expect much from this movie in terms of replay value or watchability.
I give it an A-, and I'm going to say, just because I will probably never watch this again, doesn't really hurt it or make it a lower score, because it's like, as a movie, what it is, I really don't have many complaints. Just a couple of, like, it's hard for me to see Ben Affleck in something in a period piece. Yeah. And, just like little things like that bring it down to an A-. But I really like this, and maybe it'll make my top 10. We got 2 more months of the year, and we still got a Spider-Man movie. We got an Eternals movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's quite a few that I'm looking forward to, but it's, as of right now, high chance of being in the top 10 for me this year. Yeah. And I definitely would recommend it to anyone, because I think it's a great exercise in perspective and stories and gathering information, and I think it holds a lot of lessons to take in, and it's not preachy at all. Yeah. Good stuff. So our final topic is, maybe we're about a week late on this, but whatever, is Squid Game on Netflix. Taking place in South Korea, we have our lead, and I'm not going to say anybody's name. I don't know him by heart. It's just, know him by number or characteristic, so I'm not going to even try. There's main character,
old guy, girl, younger girl,
thug,
snake face, older woman,
childhood friend,
and Pakistani dude.
Pakistani dude.
Those are the main ones.
Ali, I know his name.
Okay.
We'll call him Ali because he deserves it.
Yeah, for real. All right, so Squid Game pretty much is a huge game. It's 6 games of life or death situations where we have 456 contestants all playing for this huge cash prize, and all these people are in debt to gamblers, to the government, all sort of people who are like absolutely down on their luck, and a huge wad of cash would solve all their problems.
We're talking about billions of yen, and that equals out to about $46 US. So.
I think I'd say it was 36 million.
I think it was like
38.
38 and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, still a lot of money, but...
Absolutely, yeah. So, our lead, he's kind of a crappy dad. It's his daughter's birthday, and he's gambling money his mom gave him so he can buy her a nice meal on the off chance that he might win and be able to pay back his creditors. He does win. He makes a ton, but he gets it stolen from him, gets his ass kicked by his creditors, and then a mysterious man shows up and plays a little game. And I'm unfamiliar with this game.
Yeah.
But it's like you have these flat pieces of folded paper and you have to slam yours onto the other one, kind of like a pog or something.
Yeah.
And if you can get it to flip to the other side, you win. But since he doesn't have any money, the mysterious man will just take slaps. Mm-hmm. So he takes a ton of slaps until he eventually wins one. He leaves his business card saying, hey, if you want to make some money, call this number. He does. He gets pulled into a van. And he's woken up in a weird arena thing where he's wearing a jumpsuit and he's the final number 456, and finds out he's playing the Squid Game. Or I guess I don't really call it the Squid Game. Yeah, they're playing these games for lots of money.
All right. So in general, what did you think of the show?
I was really into this show for most of it. I think it really stumbles in the end.
Okay.
And one of my main surprises, or one of my main complaints, is there's no surprises. I pretty much knew who was going to die when almost right from the get-go of each game. I could already see how things played out. So nothing really took me by surprise. I think some of the games are fun. I think some of the games aren't all that interesting. And I would probably rather watch Battle Royale or even Hunger Games over this again. Okay. Just because, although I do like a lot of the characters, I don't like every character. And when it cuts to some, it's just like, I don't give a shit. Let's get back to either the game or someone else. And even though it's downtime for character development, like I'm still going to just call it downtime because I was here for the games. And there are some episodes where you don't get games played. And that's the main reason I was here. Although I did start to grow and care about these characters, I didn't care enough for me to have them sit and cry about it for a huge chunk of time.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that I saw a lot of the twists coming. But I found it interesting that even though I knew... Well, it's not even that I knew it was coming. It's just like it was so obvious what it was. But I liked that I still enjoyed the show despite how obvious it was. Mm-hmm. Like, because we have that whole B plot of the cop infiltrating the games.
I had no problem with that stuff.
I thought all that stuff was great. Like, this guy is like a great cop. Like, how he, takes different disguises and takes different masks and is able to like move through the thing and kind of like improv his way through situations and like collect information and all that stuff. Like, I really liked the cop character, but I knew, especially once he got to the room that had all the information on previous winners, and it like flipped to his brother, but his brother was in shadow. I was like, all right, there's no reason you need to hide that. Mm-hmm. It's definitely the game runner guy. Mm-hmm. And that was the other weird thing. Every time someone took off their mask, I was like, is that supposed to be like a Korean celebrity? Like, it just always seemed like it's some big reveal, and it's just some dude. It's like, am I supposed to know who that is?
I think for most of them, it's just like when that guy is holding the gun to the guard and he takes it off, and it's like, oh, it's just a kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, yep, they're getting anyone that they can. People young kids are looking to make a quick buck, and people who are completely in debt. Yeah, I mean, maybe there are some of these people are.
Yeah, like in my American brain, I just imagine like someone's taking off their mask and it's like, oh, I didn't know Chris Pratt was in this. Like, what a crazy cameo. Yeah. But it's just like, oh, just some person. But
yeah, with it being the cop's brother running it, it was like, oh, that's no big surprise. But I thought that one of the things would be once you win and you get all that money, there's one last thing. You have to be the host of the next one. Mm. And so that's what I would assume. And it's like he was the winner of his, right? Mm. And so why did he become the...
Well, yeah, that's one of the complaints I have about this season is you had that storyline, which I guess you could expand on, and I imagine we would expand on in season 2, because I don't really suspect the cop to be dead. Mm-hmm. Even though it seems like the show, killed him off, because like how would he necessarily survive? But you can definitely write that through or whatever. It's one of those classic situations of guy gets shot in the shoulder above a super high cliff into the water, but
he still swims to shore.
Yeah, that's every like James Bond movie, you know. Yeah, but so all the reveals, I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I expected, but it never really bothered me too much. Sure. It was just like it works because like of course the main character would win the whole thing. Why wouldn't he? But at the same time, like you're always kind of like, but will he? And then when he does, you're like, oh, okay, I guess it makes sense that he does. Go ahead.
I just want to talk about the C plot, which ties to the B plot. Is like you have a couple of guards who are just trying to make a quick buck. So
selling organs,
organ harvesting, and they take a doctor who's a contestant to do this for them, and then they give him a couple of hints on how to survive the next game. I kind of enjoyed that there would be people who are just like, well, I'm going to take advantage of this.
It gave the faceless people more human characters.
And I think that adds to like when you have the reveal of that one just being a kid, like all these guards are just doing it for money too.
Yeah.
Then it's not some crazy cult. It's just like, no, we need money, and someone offered it to me to shoot you in the face if you don't pass the game.
I assume these were all sort of like ex-government, soldier kind of people but like a lot of these guys are just like tech workers.
Yeah.
So they probably just got like recruited out of like Seoul University or whatever.
So let's start going through some games.
Okay, let's do it.
First game, red light, green light. All 456 contestants are in a big open-looking space. Well, I guess the dome was open.
Yeah.
And there's a crazy, weird, dull-looking woman at the end. She's like 12 feet tall, wearing orange overalls or orange dress and yellow shirt, or something like that.
Doesn't matter.
And when she says green light, you run as fast as you can. But as soon as she says red light, you got to stop. Otherwise, you get shot. And a lot of people aren't paying attention or think they can sneak around. And she's got crazy tracking eyeballs and just like a ton of, I'd say like half of them get wiped out.
More than half.
Right at the beginning. And then everybody starts playing along. And so we have our cast of characters where you have the young girl is hiding behind the mob boss because
great choice.
It's like I can move all I want. I'm going to use you as a shield. The first person who really kind of gets into the game is the old guy, and I just love him. His like little happy face as he's like charging forward. And all of our main cast, of course, make it through this one. And I feel so bad for the people who were just like happen to be in the back at the start because they just seem to not have a chance to get across that finish line.
And honestly, like I think very few people actually did the initial first stop, like because of just intelligence of the situation. It's just like the only people who survived were people frozen by fear, and then everyone else was mowed down. And then it's like, okay, like now we need to play the game, otherwise we're all getting mowed down. So survival instincts kicked in, but really it was just luck that anyone who survived really survived.
Yeah.
This scene was fun. I think it was a great way to really start the series because it showed like how dangerous this world is because half the people got taken out, and they got taken out in a brutal fashion of just getting mowed. Like it was almost cartoonish.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like, oh, this is one of those like foreign kung fu movies where it's just like ridiculous blood. I mean, it really wasn't, but it was kind of it was almost fun to see. I think this was the perfect game to start off this series, and I see why it really sucked people in and made it the biggest show Netflix has ever had.
Which is insane.
Insane. Especially that it's a, that was way too loud. Especially that it was
foreign language
a foreign language thing.
Yeah.
And for anyone who's wondering, Ben and I watched it in dub.
Yep.
Dub was perfectly fine. Except for one character who I hated listening to. And
old man or old woman?
Old woman.
Yeah, she was obnoxious.
And I don't even know if she was really old.
No, but it's like...
that's what they call her.
They made a joke of, like, how old is she? And she's, like, trying to, get flattered as being, like, a 20-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And then someone calls her a grandma, and she freaks out.
Yeah, and I don't really blame the voice actress for her performance. It's just, I think that's one of those things that's just kind of because of translation and everything, and the woman was so expressive in the show, and she was a crazy manic character that this voiceover actress had to sort of try and emulate, just made her really, and I'm sure she was annoying in her native language too, but like listening to this woman like try to do an impression of her was just, it was the only voice I didn't like. Everyone else I thought was perfectly finely cast.
She didn't bug me as much as the old man, because he just sounded like someone from Kung Fury or Kung Pao in Her Fist.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he was probably my second.
Hey, you should go do that.
Yeah, it just almost seemed like a young person doing an impression of an old guy, but it didn't really bother me that much. I got used to his voice. But anyway.
All right, second game. I guess like the honeycomb game. You have 4 shapes on the wall. You have circle, triangle, umbrella, and star. And you have our 4 main guys. You have school guy, school friend, or main guy, school friend, Pakistani guy, and old man. And they're all just kind of like, okay, well, how do we play this? Do we each get into a different line? Do we all get into the same line? And they decide, well, spread it out, because if it's everybody in this line dies automatically, well, at least we don't all die at the same time.
Right.
Turns out to be the worst strategy for them. They all should have gotten into one, or at least, I mean, hey, they could have all gone to Umbrella.
Yeah.
And they could have all been screwed.
And I chose Umbrella.
I chose Umbrella as well.
Because, I mean, from the character standpoint, you don't know what's happening, but like from a viewer standpoint, we saw the girl go into the vents to try and like find a way out, and she sees these guys like mixing up this stuff, and it just turns out to be sugar to make the cookies. But I thought it was going to be some sort of like sweet acid thing that they were going to like rain down on the like, and I was like, oh, get under the umbrella, it's going to protect you. But really the umbrella is the worst choice you could have made.
Absolutely the same.
So we would have been dead.
We would have been dead.
If we made it through the first game, we probably would have been dead in the second.
But I feel like I would have been smarter than them. Like, it wasn't until the last, 2 minutes of the game that they realized, oh, if I lick it, I could dissolve the sugar and make this easier for myself. Like, I would have instantly started doing that, I think. That's what I was telling. I was like, oh my God, piss on it, spit on it, do something, get it wet. But out of context, that sounds kind of weird. So what they have to do is they have a little tin that has this honeycomb heated sugar in it, and it has a symbol stamped into it, and they have to use a pen and cut out the middle symbol without it breaking, and your symbol is whatever you lined up against. So old man had the star, I think. The friend from the school friend, he had triangle. Pakistani guy had circle. And
that all sounds bad.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And then our main guy had the umbrella. Which
is just like so funny that you kind of make 3 manageable ones, and then you're just like, it could have been
it could have been a hexagon or something, just something with sides.
Yeah. It's like, let's make this thing with like loops and stuff.
It's got points and curves, and it's like the circle one, it's like you just keep going around in a circle. That would have been so damn easy.
Yeah. But I will say that I imagine it seems easy, but it might be harder than you think, because imagine you're doing something and then all of a sudden the sound of a gun goes off next to you, and like someone's blood is getting shot in your face. Like the tension of like seeing people die next to you while you're trying to do this thing that it could like jump scare you and crack your thing.
Yeah. And as someone who every time they get a sucker, like a Tootsie Pop or a Blow Pop or something, I'm always like, I'm not going to bite into this thing. I'm going to take my time and enjoy it. And it's always like within a minute, I'm chewing down on it. So I can just see myself like, I got this. This is easy. I could push a little harder. Oh, shit. Now I'm done.
Yep.
But yeah, if I got Umbrella, I would have been donezo. I think I probably would have needed Triangle. Because it's like...
I think Triangle's the best one for sure.
Like, Circle, I think I'd get cocky. Because I would just like keep going around in circles and make it, it's like, oh, look, I could just do this real fast and I could fuck up. Yeah. Whereas Triangle, I have to kind of take time, and Star is just Triangle times 5.
But see, I would think that the Circle might be harder. It's like, yeah, you might get a rhythm going, but at the same time, like, you still have to, I don't know, because it's not straight. Like, you can go to Triangle and just do one side.
Sure.
And it'd just be easy to go back and forth, and I feel like, because it's a line, it'll keep you straight, where it's like you're constantly...
Sure.
Adjusting for the circle.
I get that.
But we'd both probably die at this point anyway.
We'd die. I would go, fuck it, and I'd eat the cookie real fast before they blow my brains out.
I just imagine a lot of people watching this show and going like, oh man, those people are so stupid. Like, if I was there, I would have just gotten behind somebody, or I would have blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, plenty of you people would die.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, so much is going through your head on, like, survival and people getting shot around you, and this is essentially war that you didn't know you signed up for, and all of a sudden, like, shut up. Yeah. So yeah. Game 3. Marbles?
No. Tug of War.
Oh, Tug of War, that's right.
So it's like we have a kid game, a thing that, I don't know if it's a kid game in Korea. I never played Honeycomb cutout thing.
I don't think it was a game. I think it was just
Because like everything else is a game, though.
Yeah, it just was like, this is a thing from my childhood that I turned into a game.
Maybe. And maybe there's historical stuff that doesn't translate in the show because it's so second nature to the Koreans that it's like, yeah, of course this is the game that you do, and we just don't know it.
Yeah, I've heard that in the subtitle and in the dub version, you definitely lose a lot in translation, at least like subtle things. Like, you get the overall important stuff, but just if you're a natural Korean speaker, you'd get a little bit more context than certain things. But, I think it stands on its own perfectly fine as sub and dub, but I wouldn't know any better anyway, I guess.
So then, game 3, everybody's got to get into like teams of
10. Because there's 80 players left at this point.
Yep. And people are like, well, we got to, because we only have a team of 4 who eventually get, they bring a girl on, and they're like, we need 2 more people. And some people, it's like, well, you could only take me if you take my wife. And they're like, no, we already have enough women on our side. The older lady and the mob boss guy, they've kind of had an alliance, and they have their own little gang, but he kind of tells her to fuck off in this one because they don't want a woman on their team, because who knows what it is. Before, being on a team was a good thing. Like, if you got into the same row for the honeycomb cookie, you probably could have done a lot better. With this, it's like, well, you have no idea what it is, and it turns out it is a feat of strength, and having too many women would be a downfall. But luckily, the old man is on the team. Oh yeah, not only do they have like 2 young women, no, they didn't have the other girl yet.
No, this is when they
recruited her. Oh, that's right. So they have a young girl, an even younger girl, an older woman, and an old man. So 4 of their 10 are kind of...
Yeah, they were able to recruit like 2 dudes.
2 dudes,
and then everyone
plus
else
the 4, and then yeah. So it's tug of war on 2 platforms, and you just keep pulling until the other team gets pulled off and dies. It drops like 4 stories. It's brutal. So the asshole guy's team goes up first against some random group, and they win.
Because their team is all the biggest strongest
dudes,
guys, yeah.
So then when our team has to go up, they're fighting, I'm pretty sure, a team of all men as well. Maybe there's a woman or
I think it's all men.
But the old man has a strategy, and they have proper placement, one on the left, one on the right, one on the left, one on the right, and put the strongest one in the back and spread them out this way. And when you start, you got to lean back real hard, and he has all these kind of like more physics-based things instead of just pure brute strength. And
we're gonna lean back. and just hold that position, and we won't get as tired as them from pulling. So when they're tired and weak, that's when we pull.
When we yank. And then they do the thing where I always think for tug of war, it's like, yeah, just like jump forward a little bit and make them fall on their ass and then do it.
But like that part drove me nuts because like I like that strategy, and I'm glad that they were the second team to go because that's a pretty common strategy in tug of war. It's like, so I imagine every team after that kind of tried to emulate that and failed or whatever, but we never saw those other teams. But it's like they let them fall, they all did, and then they still like took a long time to pull them. It's like they were giving them like all the time in the world to just like kind of get back up.
Our lead was like hanging off the edge, so it's like they not only were they trying to pull the other people off, but just like get back on the ledge. So even though they got an advantage of having them fall, they kind of lost a bunch of it because they put themselves in a bad situation.
But I mean, it did come back, like they were still losing again. They were getting pulled off, and then they just found the strength
and pulled them off.
I mean, I guess it's lucky. I mean, pretty much your main character throughout this entire series just survived by being lucky. Like the only game that he did well in was the cookie game, because he kind of figured out the cheat code where everyone else just actually like did the work. But we also, I can't remember if it happens before game 3 or after game 3, where we have a scene that I think is really kind of awesome, where everyone, like the lights go off and they all decide to like brutally murder each other. Or like one group does and everyone's trying to defend themselves because it's like, oh, we can kill each other essentially with impunity and like that'll eliminate our competition. So why don't we just start stabbing away? And you get some real fun, just big action set piece where people are just getting sliced open with like broken bottles and stuff, which they like purposely like gave them glass bottles for this whole, like they knew what was going to go down because they've played this game a bunch of times. Just like with the lights kind of flashing on and off, it was a really well shot, crazy, chaotic scene that I imagine like would just be terrifying to be in that situation. And
we lose a couple people that night. I think that is. It's after 3,
Okay. Yeah. It's none of our
people.
Core people,
They've all survived. So game 4 is Marbles, the highest rated episode.
The most heart-wrenching episode, I guess.
But this is the episode where when they're like, okay, we need to team up in teams of 2, and they think like, oh crap, what if it's another sort of like tug of war thing where you want your partner to be really good, but then it turns out of all the partners, you're gonna win or your partner's gonna win and the other person's gonna die. So when you have like the Pakistani guy and the guy from school team up and like crap, one of these people is gonna go. The 2 women, one of these people are gonna go. But because of that dynamic also, I know exactly who is gonna come through. I know the of the 2 younger girls, the older one is going to, because she's more of a character. I know the friend from school is gonna survive
because he's the survivor.
Because he's and he knows the main character. Okay, old guy versus our lead. Of course, the lead's gonna win. So it's like
Thunk's gonna win because he's the villain. One of the villains.
And especially since he wasn't up against the woman, he was just up against one of his goons. So he's gonna win too. So this episode is like really sad and heartbreaking, but completely obvious right from the jump. And so, to me, I lost a lot of the emotional core just from like logically piecing it out.
Yeah.
But what is the game? What are we playing?
Marbles. You can play any game with marbles.
You each get 10 marbles, and you...
As long as someone has 20 by the end, that's all that matters.
And I like that the 2 women go like, look, we got an hour to kill. Let's just do, one game for all the marbles, and we'll just like hang out. And I like that everybody kind of took different things like, well, we're going to play guessing games or throw it into a hole. And for them, it's just kind of like...
And if I was the goon, I would have been furious. And like, I know it was, I guess, kind of like against his will because the guy who had the gun was just like, approved that you can like play a separate game. It's like, he had like everything but one. And then they immediately played a game that just allowed him to lose all of his... And it's like, no, fuck you, dude. Like, I won these fair and square.
Okay, I have 19, you have 1. We're going to play one more thing. And it's like, we're either going to play one more game or 19 more games, but that's how it is. I'm not changing the game because you're losing. Fuck that.
Yeah, or it's like, okay, you want to do the whole game? You have 1 shot.
Yeah. And I get 19 shots, you get 1 shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to do that?
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine.
But nope, dumb. I think this episode, in terms of heart-wrenching stuff, only worked because of Ali, the secondary girl who came in. I don't know why. I know, like, yeah, she was cute, and they had like this nice moment, and
Very cute.
but it was just kind of like I didn't care about her character. I didn't know who she was. And it's like, yeah, you had the episode kind of like tell her backstory and stuff. It's like, why do I care about this character that didn't exist until last episode? That didn't really do anything last episode other than be on the team. It's like, so when she died, I didn't feel like bad. Like, I thought that their moment was good and like it worked in the context of the episode.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel for her as a character because like I barely knew her. Where like Ali, episode 1, he's a character you like from the get-go because he's the one who saved your lead, which was the dumbest thing ever. Like, I understand like you're in a situation where you can save someone, great. But like the idea of like that camera was just mowing down people who were like being still, and you had to use all your strength to like hold this other guy who was going in forward motion. Like he would have easily brought you down.
Yeah.
But anyway, so from the get-go, you were rooting for Ali, and he was just the nicest guy on the team who was always like willing to like do his best and like loved everybody and became good friends with, you know, his partner, and his partner screwed him over. So like when he died, that's sad.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, like when you see his backstory in terms of like getting money from his shitty boss and like trying to take care of, like, he was never like a bad person.
He
was
lost
just
fingers because of it.
He was just a foreigner in another country that just was like struggling to like fit, and like everyone else like lost money because they were bad people or like gambling or drugs or whatever. He just didn't have money because he moved here.
Yep.
Really. So I was sad that Ali was going, but like, you know, I knew he was going to go too. Yeah. So
all right, and then we have 18 people left, I think it was.
I believe 18 for game 5.
And there's a bunch of like numbers in front of them, like little vests, 1 through 18, and you pick a number, and you just gotta pick a number. And so all the like middle ones get taken first because it's like, who knows what this number represents. Middle's pretty safe. Our hero is gonna go pick number 1, but someone's just kind of like, nah, let me take number 1 because I don't want to be a loser anymore. So he gets 18, and it's like, well, good thing he did that because 1 was the absolute worst thing you could possibly choose. So this game, it's once again, you're like 5 stories up, and there are 2 walkways that one side has just regular ass glass and one has tempered glass. And the tempered glass can hold up to 2 bodies standing in it on one time. The other glass can't even hold 1. And so they have to hop from square to square to get across a bridge. And you could go left, you could go right, you can stay straight, but as soon as you jump on the bad one, you're going to plummet to your death. And as many people need to get across. And one of the main holdups we have are people just like, shit, now it's my turn to make the decision. Do I go left or do I go right? And kind of like, well, fuck this. No, if I just stay still, we all die. So fuck you. I don't have to make a choice. And people going like, come on, you got to do it. And then that person jumps, they die. And then that person who was just egging him on is like, oh shit, now it's my turn. And they go through the same sort of ordeal.
Yeah, this game was the one I thought was the most fucked up. Like Tug of War, it was you're still falling from a terrible height and like the impact is going to kill you, but like at least that was a team effort. Like this was all just by chance. There's no skill to it. Was really no teamwork to it. It's just like you just pray to God that you just land on the right one, or you know, time doesn't run out and you're in the back and you die anyway. But I mean, I liked the logic of, you know, the thug guy going, all right, well, you're going to go ahead of me otherwise. Like, I liked all that stuff. This was also the episode that we're introduced to the VIPs.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Which the internet seems to have hated. I thought they were perfectly fine.
They're fine.
Yeah.
They're just Americans who are rich, or Europeans.
They were all making fun of like their dialogue in the show. It's like, yeah, like their whole like 69-bit was like silly, but like I imagined, like it honestly, it just reminded me of the Dave episode where it's just like, oh, this is just bored rich white people shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, of course, they're just, you know, want to fuck anything in the room and betting on people's lives, and they got nothing to do but like blow money on this crazy game. Like, like even if they're characters of America, I didn't mind these actors' performances or the silliness of it. I thought it was perfectly adequate to what was going on.
Yeah, I don't get why everybody was up in arms about this.
Yeah. But I liked the girl, the old woman getting her revenge on the thug dude. It's like, you betrayed me, and if I'm going to go out, I'm taking you with me. And I thought that was an appropriate way for her to do that. So that was kind of fun. Because I didn't expect these two to make it out of this game anyway.
No. So it was nice that the two villains kind of took each other out.
Yeah.
They get down to like the last jump, and it's all of our main people, or our 3 remaining main people, and one guy that's ahead of them. And he worked in an a car manufacturer or a glass manufacturer.
Yeah.
So he could
which
kinda,
like the game runners said like he missed in his files. So like they're like apparently these games are designed to not give anyone an advantage. Where it's like, well, that doesn't seem like you don't have to go through that whole rigmarole. Like if they have an advantage just by the chance, then that's just their thing. Like you didn't. Which I'm sorry, I cut you off. Continue.
And he could tell the difference, like a little bit of how the light shines, but mainly it's by sound. But they are only able to throw 1 marble to do it, and time is ticking. And the friend from school just says, fuck it, and just shoves him off and goes through the glass and dies, and they're able to, like, jump off in the last few seconds.
Because I don't remember if you said it, but they turned off the lights.
Oh, yeah, they turned off the lights so he couldn't see the reflections.
Yeah, they were like, this guy's cheating, turn off the lights. But honestly, that part made me furious, because in the episode or 2 before, like there was this whole big thing, and like they killed the doctor because like the guys selling organs were like giving him information on the games, and he had like the game runner had this whole big speech about like what's important about this game is it's fair, and everyone has an equal opportunity. They're all equal. Everyone has an equal opportunity. But when you change the game mid-game, it's not fair anymore. Like you as the game runner cheated the characters out of something that they just happen to know. Like they figured it out. It's like it would be the same thing as like, oh, you saw him licking the thing, oh, he's cheating, shoot him in the face. Like it's like that part really bothered me. Is that so this game isn't fair, this is a lie. And then
that should have been a VIP going like say 2 are arguing, he's like, number 422, that's my guy out front, and like, oh no, he can't win the other guy, and he tells the game host like, hey, why don't you turn off the lights, that guy's cheating. He's like, no, everything's fair and everybody's equal, and goes, give me that, and he grabs his controller and he turns off the lights, and it's like I
could have bought that.
That's fine, and it's like, well, we're doing this for the VIPs anyway, so whatever, even though this is kind of like a fuck you to our rules, whatever. This is their thing. But why did they show up so late in the game? Why are they not watching from?
Well, they said they were watching at home, but they're like, it's better to watch. And because I think they said they were watching online or whatever it was. Like they have access to the footage.
I just figured there would always be an audience there from the beginning.
I think it was just we're here for the finale, so we'll come in the last 2 days. We don't need to see a bunch of randos or whatever. Okay. So it's just like this is the final act, so this is just when they show up. So that's what I took it as, because he wants to spend an entire week on a private island getting everything catered to and fucking waiters
putting your feet up on models dressed as animals.
See, I realized that those were like painted people, but I just thought that they were actually statues.
No, they're people,
because they were so still. Like I've seen stuff where like, yeah, people are still for photos, but like you still see them like just move from breath. Like those people did not even, it seemed to even breathe. Like they were so statuesque. I thought they were statues.
Maybe they were fake and painted to look realistic enough, because they were like, oh, we can't have an actor on their hands and knees being a footstool.
I honestly thought they were fake. Yeah, so for that reason.
Maybe.
Yeah, and then they blow the bridge at the last second, and they're able to get off, but a shard
hits the woman.
Which was another thing where it's just like, okay, so once again, it's not fair. Like you basically, I know it was an accident, but you could have just like had the glass fall out of a thing. You didn't have to like make the whole thing explode.
Yeah. Or a curtain goes up so they get blocked by it.
Or you should have made your main character 15 and the guy Orlando 16, and then as he's going off it explodes, and then like you could see like all the shards shatter him up, because like blowing that up did nothing but take out another player who just happened to be in the wrong place. Like that's not fair.
I think that's like just a it's on the timer, and if anyone's on the bridge, we're gonna blow it, and it's just gonna. It's like you should have gotten off that bridge and into this, back into your bed before the timer was up. Fuck you if you're standing right there on the platform when it goes. But
that's dumb.
So now we're down to 3.
Now we're down to just 3. Yeah. And the other thing is that we didn't really talk about is no one thought it was going to be down. Like, only one person could win. Everyone was always just like, oh, if we stick together, we can all get out of here. It's just like, do any of you really believe this?
Yeah.
Like, have any of you thought about this at all? Like, and I know I just complained about, like, if I was in the game, it's like, but I would think everyone, especially with that many people playing the game, you would think that everyone's thinking about every possible scenario. It's just like, when they're all teaming up and stuff, it'd be like, well, what if we all have to, like, what if they do, like, everyone get in a group of 10? Oh, it's going to be a battle royale. Like, what if we all just have to stab each other?
Yeah.
And only one person from each team of 10? It's like, what if choosing all the strong people is, like, the worst strategy? Yeah. And it was just so interesting that they never thought, like, oh, only one of us can win. It was, oh, well, hopefully we all get out of here. It's like,
No, because if you do your veto thing, which we didn't mention, that if the majority of people say they want to stop, they'll stop, but you forfeit your winnings, and all the winnings go to the victims, the families of the victims.
Which I know you said you didn't like that every episode wasn't a game, but I liked episode 2 because they all went home. It
was different, and I wasn't expecting it, but like getting into a show that quickly, and your first game is really fun, I was like, oh, what do we have in store? And I have to wait through a whole episode of them going, oh yeah, I guess our lives are bad. Let's all go back. And it was just like, okay, we're back here. We did it. Let's get to the fucking games. It's a good episode, but I was just impatient to get to the murder.
I want to see the people die.
Yes.
So we get down to the final 3. The girl takes a shard of glass. She's bleeding out.
They get fed a fancy dinner, and they have to wear suits and ties.
Your main character is just like, hey, we should stick together. My friend from childhood is a psycho. He's going to try and kill us, but we can both get out of here if we team up. And she, like, passes out. He's like, I'll go get a doctor. And he, bang on the door. They show up, and he turns around. And his buddy walked over and stabbed him in the neck with a knife.
Yep.
So this character who, over these 8 episodes or 9 episodes, whatever it is, we've kind of rooted for just as much as our main character doesn't get to save her little brother.
Nope.
So she's gone.
So sad.
Yeah.
So then their final game is to play the Squid Game, which is a game that makes no sense, and I don't understand the rules, and is very stupid.
Yeah. I have to get past you to stand in a circle, but I also have to hop on one leg unless I take the
shortcut. And then I get to try to run home, but you can stop me any way you can, including physical violence. It's nonsense, and it's a dumb game to end this game on.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish it wasn't one-on-one.
Yes.
Like, it should have been the 3 of them. Because then you kind of don't know which way it's going to go. Because once it was those 2, it's like, it's going to be your lead. Yeah. And it's like you're rooting for, at least it give you another person to root for. And if they killed his childhood friend and it's just those 2, it's like, well, shit, like, I kind of want both of them to win. Versus like, well, you only want your lead to win.
Yeah.
I mean, it did look cinematic. You had the rain falling. It was just a straight up, like, last duel fight, And ultimately, I liked it. And I liked that he was just like, I don't want to kill you. Let's say fuck this money. Let's just get out of here. And his friend, I guess, had the decency to kill himself.
Yeah.
Which I guess they kind of hinted at, that he was like, he wanted to this entire time. Like when he went back home in episode 2, he's just like, oh, I should just fucking kill myself kind of thing. And then, but doesn't. And I like that your main lead kind of stayed innocent throughout the whole thing. Like, he didn't ever hurt anybody, I don't think.
Yeah,
really.
I think the worst thing he did was he just started lying to the old man about their
But that was a situation where, like, I think if he was facing his childhood friend, he would have been okay dying. But like, because it's an old man who's having dementia and can't even, it's like, he's lived a whole life. Yeah. He doesn't remember who he is.
He's not going to even get past the next game.
Yeah,
so.
It's like, him dying isn't that big a deal. Yeah. So that was smart to put him with that. And plus it also gives you like someone he cares about or has learned to care about and feels bad. And that's a nice other emotional thing we didn't really talk about. But there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So despite it being predictable, I liked it. It all tracked with me. I liked how everything played out and how everything worked. I liked all the characters until
I like all this was fine, and even ending it on a squid game, and like I wish they talked about it more so we could have a little more context.
I just wish there was an actual squid.
Yeah, for real. So it's like whatever. He goes back home and he's super rich now, and we fast forward like a year.
And he's barely spent any money.
Which it's like, okay, wasn't his creditors after him for like?
I mean, I imagine he paid them off, but didn't spend any of the rest.
He does the right thing of like he goes and gets the girl's son, brings it to the friend's mother, and a suitcase full of money, and it's like, look, take care of this kid, and now you'll be set. That's the good thing. And then he dyes his hair red for some reason. Do you know why?
I do. So I had to look this up because if I could change anything about this show, I would be more okay with this woman's annoying voice than this dumb fucking red hair.
Yeah.
Especially, I thought it was kind of funny that he chose, like he saw a woman's red hair and then got the woman's haircut as opposed to just dyeing his... It just seemed like he got the woman's haircut as opposed to just dyeing his hair.
And I thought he was going for the haircut, and it just so happened that the model was a redhead.
I don't know.
And then he comes out and he's got this red fucking hair.
Yeah, it looked so stupid. And
so why does he have it?
So I looked it up, and I guess the writer of the creator of the show came out and said essentially he got the red hair to express his anger at that he had to play this game and at his situation, and just, you know, it's kind of partly fresh start, but also going like it's just to represent his anger. It was the BS version of that, and I was just like, no, that's dumb. He can be angry and not look like that.
Yeah, that's
he looked ridiculous.
Absolutely.
And it looked like if he was just some dude in his like 20s or something, I could buy that. Yeah. But he was like a man in his like late 30s, early 40s or whatever it was, in like a business suit at the end. Like it just looked like maybe it was a wig, maybe it was his actual hair. I don't know. It just looked so bad, and I changed nothing of the show if I could change that red hair. It was dumb.
He is about to get on a flight to go to America to be with his daughter, and then he realizes, no, I'm gonna take down.
Well, I mean, he sees some guy playing the game he played in episode 1. It's like, okay, the game's still going on.
Yep.
I need to stop these people. And
I can't let this guy go through.
He gets the call, and they're just like, get on that plane, like, don't come back. And it's. Once I heard that, I was like, wait, do they have a bomb on this plane? It's like they're clearly still tracking me. Yeah. But yeah, then he just was like, all right, fuck it, I'm going to take them down. And that's another thing that like kind of I thought was weird about the show. Not that he wants to like take them down by any means, but like they in episode 2 they stop playing the game. He gets out, he goes to the police station, he says, there's all this crazy stuff, and I can buy that. Oh, look at this crazy man, but there's no way you're going to tell me that he was the only one who went to the police station. If 40 people came out there and went to the police, so there was 200 some people that left, even if it's 20, like 20 different reports at different police stations all coming in saying like this thing happened, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. But it was just like the one guy who saw a PlayStation card on the desk was like, well, let me investigate this. Just
the only thing I could think of is like they took enough people from far enough around that it's not like, 10
the police would call, there'd be
you would get one here, and then when you go, did you guys receive this call? And it's like, no, everybody would just think drunken weirdos.
I mean, it's a story choice I can overlook, but if it was the first year, I definitely could overlook it. But if this game's been going for 30 years and like no police officer or anyone, like there's no blog posts that are like there's this conspiracy theory of like this underground game. It's just the fact that it's been going on for 20, 30 years or whatever, and just no one has any knowledge of its existence. And also 456 people go missing in one day and they'll never coming back.
Yeah.
All at one time, that would have to go noticed anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're not talking about like America
or the world.
We're talking about like
South Korea,
where there's. I was going to ask Echo, how many people are in South Korea? Echo, how many people live in South Korea?
In 2020, the population of South Korea was 51.3 million people.
So, I mean, 456 And 51 million people, sure, is a
It's a
very,
small-
very small number.
This
But
might answer your question. 456 plus 51 is 507.
great.
Thank you.
Anytime. Literally.
She's weird. Anyway, I mean, once again, maybe it's one of those things like it seems like an of course thing, but really isn't in the grand scheme. Maybe Korea has a problem with missing people all the time.
Drug trade, human trafficking.
I don't know. But some of it just seemed like plot holes, but I don't know enough about Korea to really, or math, to really argue that it's true. From a story point, it's fine. Yeah. It's just watching it, it's like, how has this never been found out? Especially because all the people that work at the Squid Game just seemingly also don't ever talk about it. Like, or do they just never leave the compound? They only work 2 weeks a year? Like, what's...
I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting world that I want to know more of, and I look forward to exploring in season 2. I'm just glad we don't have to... I have to hear Crazy Lady ever again. So...
Yeah, I just wish that at the end of this, you could have a character who's gone through all this, is tormented about it, hates that he's still alive and everybody else is dead, but he just goes and spends his money. He just does the right thing and he helps people and everybody looks at him as like, wow, what a generous, kind person. I always thought he was a scumbag, but look how good he is. And he's doing great things for people, but he is just absolutely miserable because he has to live with this knowledge of all the things that he did. I hate that it's no, I'm going to take you down. It's just so boring. Let's just play the fucking game.
And like if his childhood friend was the one who won and felt guilty about it and everything because he did awful stuff to survive and go like, okay, I'm gonna bring it down, like that kind of tracks a little bit more because he was smart enough to kind of do the harsh things. Like he could have, like, if let's just say he just gets in the van in season 2 and goes to the place, he's like, all right guys, this was gonna fucking happen, only one of us is gonna make it out unless we like rise up or whatever, like steal guns, or like I'm gonna help you guys get through the game so we all make it, and all 456 of us make it to the last game or something, you know?
I mean, that's impossible.
I mean, sure, yes.
You're going to at least half it with marbles, and you're going to... What was it? It was like eight teams, so like...
Yeah, but don't worry about it. I'm just saying, like, because he survived the game, or even if it's not about rising up, maybe he just, like, feels bad and wants to, like, play the game again, just like, because the old man just loved playing the game, which we didn't even talk about, that he was the secret leader of this.
Another stupid thing of like, ha ha ha, I was behind it the whole time and I was just in your midst. And
I mean, did you see that twist coming from like the get-go? Because
no.
I didn't see it until it happened and I was like, of course.
No, but it's such a trope of like, oh, I've been with you the whole time.
Yeah.
And I had a inkling when after they did the marbles, like they have had no problem blowing anyone's brains out on screen. But when it came to the old man, he was walking away and it's like, oh, they're just being nice. They're not going to be too gratuitous by shooting an old man in the head.
Yeah, I think
it was
from
like,
a cinematic standpoint, it made sense enough to where I was like, okay, I can buy that. But it's one of those moments where like, this is the kind of thing like, I like seeing the clues after the fact of like, oh, it was right there all along. Mm-hmm. Like seeing that his... shack wasn't tug of war. It didn't actually have locks on it where everyone else did.
Oh, really? Did it?
Yeah, I saw a thing online where they had a picture of it, and he was the only one who didn't have locks on it.
Which is dumb, because it's like, hey, at least play the part. Oh, because if he got pulled off...
He could...
Oh, yeah, he could just step away.
And, like, he disappeared when all the fighting broke out and stuff, and he just somehow ended up on top. It's like, how the fuck did he climb up there? And just, like, little stuff like that. I was like, oh... And the fact that he was number 1. Like, I find all that stuff kind of fun. But, yeah, him being the secret... leader, I did not care about at all.
Don't care about that.
And then his point was he played the game because he felt more alive doing that, but also he was trying to prove that humans are bad because look at the person on the ground, no one's going to care for them. It's just like, well, that point doesn't make any sense because this guy literally cared for you the entire game. Like he never even killed anybody. Like he's been a good person.
Yeah.
And you could argue that he was bad because he let you believed you had dementia, so he like
he manipulated you.
He manipulated you, sure, but like that was you can't really blame him for that either, because you put him in a no-win situation. You just wanted him to sacrifice himself, or I guess play fair. It was a little bit of a stretch for me.
Yeah, it's just one of these things where, like, you have a good concept of people playing a game, doing a battle royale, and who's going to come out on top, and that's all it needs to be. And it always has to be we got to buck the system, I was the secret assassin, whatever it is. It's just, it turns into cliche, and it becomes so extremely boring in that last episode. Because, like, the big final game being Squid Game, a game that we don't know, and I don't even know if it's real, if it's made up for this show.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It's like, have you seen the subreddit of Anarchy Chess?
No.
It's just like, every time they post, it's something crazier. Like, oh, now there's a Hot Wheels car on the board, and oh, now you got to play Mousetrack and stuff. And it's just like, the rules don't make any sense, and it's just craziness. And that's, to me, what Squid Game is. And so if you had your final match be Anarchy Chess, it'd be like, oh, that's stupid. There's like no real rules to this. I don't understand how this works. And so it just kind of, after everything blows up, the glass bridge blows up, and they have their little meal and everything, it just goes whoop, instantly down. And it's like, I don't care. And especially if the next one is going to be the police are investigating and stuff, I don't care about that. I don't care about the origins of who is running this whole thing. I just want to see people do the battle royale.
Yeah, and if you made this sort of, and then, I mean, I don't know if it would necessarily be boring. It's like you could get a new cast of characters, but I imagine they'd all just be like the same sort of tropes. There'd be like the nice one. There'd be the son of a bitch who turns out to be the sweet of the, or whatever. Yeah. Like, and you can make and do different games to make it interesting and exciting.
Yeah, if they repeat the games,
but
I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out. Episode 1.
So I would imagine for sure that they would change the games up, but at the end of the day, like after season 2, I don't know how long you can really stretch this show. If season 2 was like more backstory and origins and him going back to the game, or it's like, okay, does he like win and thinks he brings down the system, but really they like season 3 they started up again, but now it's like the champions game, so they bring back all the people who were the previous winners. It's like, I don't.
That's another Hunger Games thing.
Yeah, it's like who cares?
Yeah.
So I think if they make a season 2, it should be the last season, probably, unless season 2 really surprises me and blows me away. Yeah. But I mean, ultimately, for all the complaints we've been saying, I really did enjoy the show quite a bit. Yeah. And I'm excited that something non-American can be such a smash hit across the board. Mm-hmm. And people have seen, Korean cinema has always been good for the most part. It just hasn't been seen a lot in America. And now Korean entertainment is really blowing up right now. And it's exciting to see some new stories taking the front. Yeah. So, yeah,
I really enjoyed the music. I enjoyed the set designs and the look of everything. All the characters are relatively likable, and I enjoyed watching their story. It just really, really kind of trips and stumbles at the end. And if you wanted to save that for a season 2, where it's like the first one is just the games, and you see this is just because they've had these, once a year for 30 years, or is it once a month? Is it once every 6 months?
Because it was a year later, I think it's just once a year.
So it's like you've had 30 of these that have just kind of like ran their course probably, and someone won, and they went off.
It could be longer than 30 years too. I just made a guess.
Whatever it is. And for us, the first one should just be the game. And if you want to do part 2 where they grab the wrong guy, and he's gonna take it down, that's fine, because you're expanding the original story. And I think this original story should just be, how do you play? Who do you team up against? Who do you fight against? And what do you do after you win, and can you cope with it? I don't like secret hidden bosses and their weird agenda and dumb colored hair and getting away after 455 other people died. You're going to do what with that money? Go play, you do nothing with it, and then just go come back and play again? It's kind of a spit on the graves of everybody else.
Yeah, I thought, like, what else would he do other than give all that money to the family, or like try and set things right? I mean, if he wanted to use the money to like bring them down, like I could see that. Or it's just like, look, I survived, I have survivor's guilt, and he like makes it right for the 2 other finalists, but doesn't help anybody. Like, that married couple, was dumb that they were there in the first place. And like, I know they were just like, well, if we like both go back in, it doubles our chances of winning. It's like, no, you just orphaned your children. Mm-hmm. It's like, that was dumb.
They're going to come back with one parent or no parent.
Yeah. So it's a fine ending.
If I was going to change anything, it would be like, you know, he's doing nice things around town, but he's miserable, and he's purposely kept himself away from his daughter because it's like, what kind of person can I be to raise a daughter if I was willing to do this stuff?
Yeah.
And just kind of like, maybe even like looking at either piles of cash or his bank statement or something like that and not knowing what to do with his life. And then here comes the cop that got shot and fell off the cliff, and he's all ragged and stuff and maybe been in hiding, acting like a homeless person. And he like comes into the guy's place, and it's just like, you know, I know what you can do with that money, or why don't
that's the only reason I think that the cop is dead, because it's a year later and nothing else has happened. Because like, what else? I mean, you could do some BS where he's like been in a coma, I guess.
He has amnesia,
been recovering for a year,
fish boats,
or like some fisherman digged him out of the water, something stupid. But yeah, that's the only reason I thought like the cop might actually be dead. Which just seems like underwhelming, because it's like you have this whole B plot of him trying to figure out where his brother is, and then his brother's part of the game. It's like, you're not going to get any closure with that if the brother, or if the cop is dead. It's just,
I guess we don't. It's like, he went to go find what happened to his brother. He found his brother as part of the game,
died, and
that's
we're
it.
guess not going to talk about it anymore. So yeah,
there's a special type of person I recommend this to. My roommate, I was going to watch a later episode while she was working, and she's like, wait, I wanted to watch this. Don't play this. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I finished it later that night, and the next day it's just kind of like, you don't need to watch this. This isn't for you. You're not going to care. You're here because I think she'd be a lot like me. It's like, you're here for the games and what's the crazy fucked up stuff. But if she's going to have to read subtitles, it's probably not going to happen, and she's probably just not going to care about these characters. It just wasn't up her alley. So for, I think, a lot of people, don't bother. Don't believe the hype. Don't listen to everybody. This is probably, if it wasn't for you just reading the description, it's probably not going to win you over. But if you're into this shit, yeah, okay, that's fine. Just be prepared. It's not amazing.
So is there any games you would like to see, or have you thought about a death version of a childhood game? Or would you rather just, like, that final, instead of Squid Game, you just put them in a circle, drop one knife in front of them, and go?
Or, I mean, it could have been as simple as just like, let's boil it down to the simplest game there is, heads or tails. And it's like all that fighting and scheming and everything, and it comes down to flip a coin.
Yeah, I guess that would only work if you knew the final game was going to be one-on-one, but because there were 3 finals, it's like Squid Game, at least we saw in the very beginning of episode 1, like, was a multiplayer game.
Sure. And I hope with later seasons, that'd be nice if we get a bigger group. I don't know. I mean, it could be a rock, paper, scissors thing.
That was going to be my thing. Is like, I think it'd be fun to do rock, paper, scissors, but whatever you like lost to, like, that's how you died. So like, if someone beat you with rock, you'd be crushed by a rock. Okay. Or you get beat by scissors, you get your head cut in half, or something. And then
but what's paper?
Paper is you get crushed by the money.
I think paper would be a suffocation thing or a choking thing. You know, you're wrapped up in it or shoved down your throat.
Or you just get put in a shredder.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. Other games? I mean, all the games like I played were mainly like hide and seek, tag, or a board game. So I could see maybe like a Red Robin type thing.
You mean like a Red Rover?
Red Rover, sorry. Yeah. No. Yum. Yeah, Red Rover. I could see a Red Rover. I mean, like, everything else was like a PE dodgeball or tetherball. You know, I don't know what you can do.
Yeah, I just don't want to see it become like a Saw thing. Like, I don't need to see necessarily any of these people get like chopped to pieces.
Yeah, it was nice that it's like you either die because of the game, like because of falling, or it's like you lose, you get shot. Yeah. Simple.
Agreed.
Any games you want to see?
I want to see some version of hide and seek.
Okay.
And if you get found, you die.
Everybody's got to find one place. Or, oh, yeah, it's like, say you have 100 people. We're sending, you have this huge place to go. You have 100 people, but we have 50 guards. And once the guard grabs you, he kills you, that guard leaves. So if you could stay hidden until 50 other people get found, you're safe.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think that could be fun and add a sense of tension is that an opportunity to try and like fight back because they don't know you're coming? So it's like, oh, maybe
we double our size. We could each, 2 people per guy.
Yeah, if you are able to, whoever kills a guard, I mean, I don't know if you want to put your guards through that. Yeah. It's like if you kill one, then you're able to get out, and so maybe it doesn't have to be half and half. Like if you're able to kill one, like you have no weapons, they do, but if you're able to kill one, then you are able to, you're safe.
Sure.
And if like you guys decide to like triple team one, whoever gets the killing blow is safe. That doesn't mean all 3 of you get to like survive or anything. So then maybe that could become a thing of just like, oh, these people are like scrambling to like get this guy, stab this guy or whatever, and because they're all kind of fighting over each other, like he's able to like just mow down all 3 of them.
Or like one person's choking him out and the other one's like stabbing him in the gut, and then he eventually dies. And it's like, I got him because I stabbed him and he bled out. It's like, no, I got him because I choked him out. And it's like, well, who is it? And it's like, null and void. You're both still in the game.
Damn. Yeah, I don't know. You could do something fun with that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's a team of very smart writers who are making season 2 that know some cool stuff that we don't. So yeah. We'll see.
And then it's like, yeah, I'm fine with them bringing a little more stuff from Korea that I had nothing about. Just explain it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because they were saying names of like Korean marble games. I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, what game has 10 people? It could be this or this or this.
I mean, I'm glad like everything that, with the exception of a guess Squid Game, which they did explain in the first episode, but by the time you got to the last episode, I was like, I don't even remember that. Yeah. All the marble stuff, like every game you knew how to play. Like it was all easy stuff. Yeah. It was just easy stuff in awful situations. Yeah. So, all right. This was a long one.
Yeah.
I think it's time to wrap it up.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us in the Whirlpool. If you'd like to get in touch with us, we are at WRPL Podcast on Twitter or WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to send us an email, if you have a question for us, if you have a comment on how awful these are and how too damn long they are, send us an email and tell us to shut up or something. What do we got going on next week?
Next week is Dune.
Oh.
We're going to have a lot to say about this movie.
Are you going to watch the original?
No, I don't care.
Even after?
No, I don't care.
Okay, all right, cool. I'm not going to rewatch it. I remember it well enough. Are you going to go to theaters to get the full theater experience, or are you going to do the cheap poor bastard route like I am?
I am a cheap poor bastard, and it's weighing on me because I will always choose the free option, but at the same time, I feel like this is one of the rare movies that would be enhanced in theaters. There's very few, like Godzilla's a movie about like giant monsters destroying cities and everything. Like that's a movie you should see on the big screen, but at the same time, I was like, I don't care about that fucking movie. I'm gonna watch it at home for free.
Yeah, or
not for free, but with subscription.
It's free.
But we'll see on the day. I'm still undecided.
I think I'll do the HBO first, and if I love it, I will go see it again and support it. But if it's nothing, if I don't want to see the sequel, I won't go pay for it.
Yeah,
because I want to give monies, especially to potentially new franchise.
Yeah,
like that's why I went and saw like Mortal Engines. I really wanted that to become a franchise. That was a pretty fun movie. But okay. Thanks again. I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
Goodbye, everybody. It's like, oh my God, piss on it, spit on it, do something, get it wet.